When we get scared, what's the thing that we start with? Everything is wrong. People need to do things a certain way because you want control. And there's really nothing wrong with you when you have that attitude, because that's the systemic part of fear. And fear is going to bring a lot of crazy stuff out in us. And I know for me, I've had to go in deeper spiritually. My whole body locked down because I didn't know how to handle working with my clients who, one of her, a husband passed away with one of my clients. People were scared. Some people were getting sick. Their lungs were hurting. There were so many things going on. And I said, you know what? My body's locked down. What do I need to do for myself? And I first went in with myself before I got to my clients again. And I noticed that I was just like wearing and tearing on my body, you know. And did you feel that? Did you feel that through those times? And also throughout your life, I think we've had those moments where we felt like, oh my gosh, this is, this is a really harsh time in life. And we have those moments. We're not just individually going through this, we are going through this all together. I call it hashtag, and I put a hashtag because it seems like we need that somehow. It just gets everywhere if we do it on social media. But Be Connected's pretty clean, so we don't need any of that. Actually, it's fully clean, so we don't need hashtags. But when I'm out there, hashtag speaker locking arms. If we're out there for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, we grow our heart, we get connected with spirit, source, whatever you want to call that, and we start realizing how gentle and loving we can be to everybody else. Because it really comes down to us first, because if we are in fight or flight and we're messing around inside of ourselves and we're fighting and battling, then something different comes out. Unless we're in a really, really good mood or we're really watching ourselves, we'll be nice and loving to everybody. But when we're having a hard day, we'll be lashing out at people. So today, I want to send you so much love, and with every expert that we have. Cheryl saying, I don't see anything. Oh, Cheryl, maybe you do need to go out and come back in. Anybody else having that issue? Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing that. So let's dance around this subject. It's a heavy subject. Let's dance around. Let's play. If you get tired because you're going to be here the whole time, I want you to be bouncing around, get yourself some water. Cheers. I have a feeling you're not going to get tired, because I want you to have your journal and I want you to have your pen and write your ahas, because you're going to forget. We're going to bring this recording and keep it here everywhere so you can see it. But I want you to remember your words, what you felt, and keep typing anything and everything. And I will share it with the experts of what you're going through and what you're feeling at that moment, and questions. I will do that. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go. We're going to go with our first meditation. And then I'm going to introduce everybody else that's part of the superstar speakers today that are your experts. Natasha Balya. Did I say that right, Natasha?
Bala, close enough. Thank you.
Bala?
Yeah.
I'm giving no names, even though I've talked to her.
You did good.
Natasha Bala, I am so happy to have you here. And everybody, I'm so happy to have her here to be with you. What's special about this woman is that I got to meet her a couple years ago, and we started talking, and I realized there were so many wonderful things she was doing out there in the world, and I could feel her heart. And I said, Natasha, will you come in and do this opening ceremony and just kind of bless the space here to help us get centered in what, just centered. Let's just keep that. And she said, yes. So I want you to enjoy a space of meditation as we kick off this show for you. And I'm going to leave it simple like that. I'll let Natasha do her magic. Natasha, appreciate you opening the space for you, my friend.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to do a fairly quick meditation, just about 10 minutes. And the goal of this meditation, or my intention, is just to help you to ground yourself a little bit, bring some peace into your mind and heart. So if you can just go ahead and close your eyes and get really comfortable in your seat, wherever you are, just feel comfortable. And take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we're going to do that one more time. And when we do that, on your exhale, if it feels comfortable to you, just make a sound, letting things go. It can be a sigh, can be whatever you need it to be. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now, starting at the top of your head, just gently scan your body. From the top of your scalp, going down to your forehead, into your eyes. I want you to notice any areas that may be tense or contracted. Don't judge what you're noticing or feeling. Just notice it and then move on to the next area. So down to your cheekbones, down to your jaw, maybe letting that jaw go. We often hold a lot of tension in our jaws. Down to your neck. And those shoulders, let those shoulders go. Allow them to fall towards the ground. Letting your upper back go, your chest. Don't forget about the sides, your flanks, down to your abdomen. Noticing what's going on and just letting it go. And down to your hips, another area we hold a lot of tension. Just allow your hip bones to fall towards the ground. Let your spine relax. And down to your thighs, just letting go. Your knees, relaxing them. And down to your ankles and your feet. Just letting it all go, letting your bones fall towards the ground, towards the earth. And let's just spend a minute here just really enjoying the freedom of letting go and just being present in your body. Just being mindful of taking deep breaths as well. Now I want you to think of someone or something you're really grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything big, just something you're really grateful for, and really feel that gratitude. Allow that gratitude to fill your whole chest. Allow it to light up your heart. And imagine your heart glowing with that gratitude, with that joy. And now allow the light in your heart to go beyond your heart. Let it flow into your lungs. Imagine it flowing into your shoulders and down your arms, into your hands. Allow it to go into your neck and your whole head. Allow that gratitude and joy to go down your abdomen, your back, your lower back, into your hips, down your legs and into your feet. And now just feel your entire body glowing with gratitude and joy. This light you're experiencing in your body right now is healing every single cell in your body. It's getting rid of any toxic emotions that may be stuck in your body, like shame, like guilt. This light is healing all of that right now. And let's just allow that light to touch every cell just for another minute. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. Just gently bring it back. If you've got an area in your body that needs some extra TLC, some extra healing or attention, bring the light to that area and just let it pulsate there for a minute. Really allowing that area to heal and get that light. And when you're ready, just bring that light back to your heart and then allow it to dissipate from your mind. And just bring your attention back to the present moment, allowing yourself to come back into your body, into your mind. And taking another deep breath in through your nose, letting that go out through your mouth. And one last time in through your nose and out through your mouth. Knowing that you are in control and you are safe today and every day as you make your way through Earth School. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. I hope that felt good to everyone.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love that you're sharing about Earth School. There's a lot we're learning, isn't there?
Oh boy, yes.
Before our experts here today, before we get into that next level, and you who are participants, please come in and share your experience. Unmute yourself if you're muted. I would love to hear Noreen, Camille, Teresa. Noreen, if you want to add anything, I would just love to hear your experience with just getting this kickoff going today. And yeah, and Natasha and
Sure.
how that feels.
Well, it's a beautiful place to start because we don't often, if we're not in the spiritual realm of work, even if we have spiritual practices, but we're getting ready. Like I was in a frenzy this morning because I get on Instagram Live every day. I do, I do a lot of things very consistently. And I give myself no excuse to not do it. And so I found myself sort of in a tizzy as much as I had prepared for, coming with a lot of excess energy that Natasha with a lot of gratitude for you, helped me just, it is what it is. And we get to breathe through and be present in the moment and not worry about all that excess that can really get in the way of doing our best work. So thank you very much, Natasha. It was a
Thank
beautiful
you.
again. So
Thank you.
Rhonda, you're muted.
No, we can't hear you, Rhonda.
I know.
Oh,
I'm lost in my, well, no, I mean, I didn't know till, Noreen told me. So, yeah, Camille, how are you doing after getting a kickoff here and getting it going?
Well, thank you, Natasha. I remember to breathe.
it's funny how we forget that, right?
Yeah, it was like tense. So now I'm breathing, and then I came back to my body. I don't think sometimes we're aware, or like I'm not aware that I'm in my body.
Yes.
And so I had that awareness by, each section that you went through, and then redirecting my mind so that it wouldn't chase squirrels. So that was very, very good. Thank you.
Teresa, I'd love to hear from you, my friend. How are you feeling?
I am feeling great. Thank you so much, Natasha. That was so strong, but so calming. And I love when those two energies connect. It makes it very powerful. So thank you so much. I'm just feeling good now, feeling great, feeling ready to take on this wonderful show.
Oh, I love this. And I'm looking for any comments you just add what you're feeling through this. Because I believe when we start speaking about like where we want to go, and when we start vocalizing that and really using, our thyroid, our communication center, there's something that comes more alive than just us talking, within our brain, using our fingers or speaking it, just like using our fingers for comments, add your stuff. Natasha, what brought you into this meditation today? What was the feeling and the vibe when you were bringing this together for everyone?
I came in having an idea, an intention of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also allow, I guess, my higher self or spirit or whatever you want to call it to kind of guide me. So I guess I kind of pick up on the energy and what I feel people need and just kind of go from there. So.
Yeah, beautiful. And I really did feel that light when you were talking about that. I mean, it incredible. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for kicking us off.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo! All right. So we're moving along. This is where we are, like right here, wherever you are. When you first walked in the door of Fresh Talks Global Vision, there were things going on. Just like what Noreen brought up. She's like, and I believe everybody, like Camille even said, like, I remember to breathe. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, we're on the show. Now we get to serve. You out there that are right here, I see you. I am your host. Anything you want to add in, I will make sure that I share with everyone and that I really breathe in what you're saying, because sometimes it's comments. It's just comments about how you're feeling, your experience. I've been doing this show for 6 years. I find that there's so much magic when it comes to being present. And sometimes it's hard to be present because when we're online, there's so many things that could be going on. But if you give your space and you determine how you want to feel by the time that you're exiting out of Fresh Talks Global Vision with all of us, that when you start focusing on that, there's something special about the connection and why you're here. And you'll start noticing that you'll show up in a way where you're like, I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to go do like these other things that I told myself I was going to set offside until, the show is over, or however long you're going to be here. And you just keep focusing on that, because my goal in this space of doing this for so long, it's not just to show off, in my sparkly, fun red lipstick and dresses and all that kind of fun stuff I love doing. And I hope you do too, because I think the beauty of us just shining is incredible. This is about us healing our heart. Yesterday was my best friend's birthday, and she passed on last year. Anybody else here, after these past few years, it seems like we have so many people that are passing on in our life or that are very ill. Sometimes we ourselves are feeling something in our body, and what Natasha was able to do is talk about healing. I want you to know that I believe that this show is out there so that we can really speak our vocals, so that we don't have shame. We can say anything we want when we come from here, because when we come from here, there is no way to say anything right or wrong. It just comes from spirit, and it comes from a deeper sense. And to me, that is a wonderful way to live in life. So I am going to give you a few more minutes here to really think about this aspect of, if I could live a life every day where I come in and do meditation. Natasha gave us that example. And I breathed in, because it's not a right sentence, so I'm just going to say breathed in. I'm breathing in this energy. And this energy is my vitality. But to build that vitality, start with the basics, energy. Trying to find the energy every day in your food, getting your body moving, getting your spirit down to the cell level of your body, because we need to take care of this earthly body. We need to take care of this body. We not just need, but want and yearn for the best, most incredible experience as we're living in this world. And to do that is right here, right now. I'll do the best I can to hold that space for you. Now, you know why you want to be here. And so write it in your journal. Remind yourself why you're here, because you are going to get what you want out of this. So set your intention out there. We have a live show, so not everything's going to be perfect, which is perfect. So that may turn you off a bit if you're not in your spirit. So think about this. Live shows are clunky. This is what this is about, is that we get to be human. And it brings attention to that when you start living in a human aspect way, you start allowing those things. You don't feel like you have to have control, that everything has to be set in a perfect way, or people need to say exactly what you want them to do, or they turn you off because maybe they just shifted and said something different. Think about what you want in this show. Then when you step out of that, you go, what do I want in this world? You go, but how do I get there? So you take another step back. You say, how do I want to feel right now? And can claim. And if I keep claiming, that I keep being present so that my body heals. So I can speak to every cell in my body and say, you're going to be okay. The 1,000,000 cells that you received today, receive. How is your receiving? Because we created 1,000,000 cells today to be able to start healing our body, because our body wants balance, rebalance. And when we get in this mode where we start feeling it, we're like, yes, I want that. Gives you time to believe it. Because you'll start noticing when you live a life like this, that if somebody tries to shame you, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Somebody just looked at me a certain way. Somebody looked at my body. I must have gained 10 pounds, and somebody is looking at my body like I'm fat. Somebody is looking at me in a way that they think that something. I'm not going to add any more negativity out there because we already say 60,000 words to ourselves every day. I don't want to add to that negativity bank. Whatever you feel in this world that's happening and shaming, it starts bouncing off you. We yearn for that resilience. Tell me anything that you are yearning, that you're feeling, that you want to start making some updates for yourself so that you can start feeling like, yes, you got it. Yes, I got this. Yes, I got this. And you start moving in a flow. And I'm creating this dance because your cells want to dance. Your cells want to be free. And as soon as you buckle yourself down and you actually feel somebody coming at you with shame, you go, kind of obnoxious. Like, what does that mean? Now we start feeling something different. The word victim comes in, but that's not even just the right word because that's just a very intense word. But if I could go even more and just say, whatever somebody's trying to do, you just don't play that game anymore. You take your energy out of there and you create safety for yourself. I want your body to heal. I've been in the health industry for 20 years. I want your body to heal. The only way to get there is for us to accept that we are incredibly awesome people, that we're jamming, that we're rocking, that we're speaker locking arms. We use our vocals, that when we say that we care about something, that we know the people in the room with us, that we've built a nice room, that they want to know what I feel, what I love in this life, because I want to know about them. You don't waste your time with people that you have to keep proving yourself to them. I'm tired of proving. Anybody else here tired of proving or feeling like you need to? And it could have been maybe some imprints, in this world or something that happened that you feel like you have to do that. But today, our experts are sharing that this is what it's about. Whatever you want, you get. And you come from here. And you're very clear and precise. Because that's the healing. That's the healing of the body. That's the healing of the pain where we say, you did this to me, you did that to me. But what if we take that shame away and we say, that's okay that somebody did that because that really pisses me off, but how can I work through that? Because now I don't want to say anybody did anything to me. I want to take it on that this is my way of sharing that I got my back. You can't hurt me anymore. And if you do, I have all these people around me that are going to be there to support me. And everybody in your circle is there because you're working on your healing. I think that's all I want to say in the introduction here. I mean, this is the opening ceremony. Anybody else want to add anything? I mean, type away. I'm just checking here because we have Noreen coming up, and I want to make sure that I give you the space to think about this, because I may be throwing some things at you that are asking yourself, what the heck is Rhonda talking about? Because it may be in another space that you haven't heard it this way. All I'm saying is I love you. I really do. You mean a lot to me. If you're in this world or in spirit, come on in. Because I'm loving love bugs. So I'm here for you. And I hope you're here for me too. Because if we're speaker locking arms, gosh dang, think about what we can do in this world. Holy moly. Woo-hoo-hoo! Crazy, crazy love. So thank you.
Well, what you're really talking about, Rhonda, is giving ourselves permission to be seen, be heard, be improvisational, because that's what life is, right? We don't, when you have coffee with a friend, you're not going with an agenda to check off 12 things that you have to talk about, right? And so we psych ourselves out in terms of just being truthful or connecting with the truth of who we are. And shame is part of that, a very apropos topic for, as the umbrella of this conversation today. So thank you for providing space for that.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Rhonda, when you were speaking, it was interesting because I was thinking to myself, where do I feel shamed in my life? And I realized that I'm the one shaming myself. So sometimes it's not always someone else, but we can do it to ourselves. So that was very big for me. So thank you for that.
Wow. Camille, I see your message here. Did you want to say that out loud?
Sure. I love that we could be human. You know, that's rarely ever something that's said, but really just allowing myself to be human and to just be here, to be present, with no agenda per se, except to lean in and to listen and to really just take it all in. So you really set that up beautifully, and kind of, it was a second part of relaxation. So Natasha, you did first, and now Rhonda, you've done it. So hopefully our audience feels that way too, that they can just lean in and listen, and glean those things that you need to hear in this moment to allow yourself to just be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
What really
You know,
resonated, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Teresa, you go for it, my friend.
No, I was just going to say what really resonated with me, in addition to all the amazing things everybody has said so far, you were talking about your intention. And when you set intentions for your life, your day, your week, your job, your presentation, anything, you're sending it out into the universe. It's out there. And it's going to make it happen for you because you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself and you set that intention, nothing can stop you. You're unstoppable. We're superheroes, for goodness sakes, you know? And I love that you brought that up, Rhonda. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And I love this partnership. You know, it's so wonderful to be able to hear the comments that are going on. Appreciate you. Okay, so let's get into it. So we have some. Let me share with you who we have here today. We're going to give you an experience. We're around 8:40, 8:35, something like that, Pacific time. And I want to give you a little bit more what the remaining of the show is about. And so we're exiting out of the opening ceremony, really sharing on and having these experiences. I see we have quite a few people live. Keep adding your comments. All right, we're going to start off with Camille Walker, and then we're going to be going to Teresa LaRue, Noreen Howard, and I'm hoping Stephanie Colasso does make it because she was not in when I came in live to live mode. So I hope we get her. And then we will be ending with the closing ceremony. And what I like about this is that we have experts coming from different visions and what they're talking about. So we'll be talking about some business stuff connected with you moving forward, and that will be Noreen, but she'll be talking about that. But let me go step by step here. Right now, Camille Walker, she's a native Texan, growing up in a family of entrepreneurs. I can't wait to hear her story, but the focal point that I put there was open the barriers and sabotage and stop shaming. So she has a lot around mindset and being a business owner. So I can't wait to hear. Camille is going to be next. After her is Teresa LaRue, and that's Domestic Violence Survivors, ICU. It's our time with no more shame. Then we have Noreen coming in around 9:30 Pacific time. No more shaming, onto the path to market prominence and profit. Think about that. Opening yourself up to blissful income and flow. Oh, it's just beautiful. And lifestyle, we're talking about clearing anything with domestic abuse. There's some great stories we hear. 10 o'clock, if we get Stephanie Colasso, removing undesirable patterns to live a truly extraordinary life. And then I'm going to close it with the closing ceremony. And I'm just going to bring everything together. And this is where we get to celebrate. This is where we get to get the highlights of the top nuggets of no more shaming in this world. the strategies. And so you're going to hear the strategies. Keep your journal close to you and just keep dialing in what's important to you. What are the awarenesses that you're getting? What are the changes that you want within you? And those are the gems, because those are the ones that you're going to be carrying with you. I appreciate you. So let me get introduction here for Camille Walker. Camille and I met through Be Connected. Camille and I are lovers about this whole Be Connected thing. We're just loving on this stuff. And it's a great place to meet people, and you don't have algorithms and all that kind of stuff. It's so much fun to be part of this group. And if you want to know more about that, Camille is a trainer for Be Connected. And I'm an investor in Be Connected. I love it so much because it's going to be something of a big app that you're going to be using, but not having the algorithms and so many other things going on that are going to be beautiful in this as we're building and building the community here with millions of people. All right, Camille, a native Texan growing up with a family of entrepreneurs, was getting a hands-on business education firsthand. As a practicing attorney for more than 20 years, I found myself serving as an advisor for service-based entrepreneurs, helping them make improvements in productivity, revenue, and overall performance. A love for personal achievement and self-directed change was the compass that led Camille to consulting. When entrepreneurs and sales professionals level off in performance or become stalled or burned out, it is a sign that there are barriers to be addressed and opportunities for growth. Helping to pinpoint and release financial barriers and sabotaging patterns for performance breakthrough is the work utilizing emotional intelligence. Camille, I love that you're going to be talking just through that vein about emotional intelligence. It's something that we really want to learn more and more about. It is how can we show up and feel strong and deal with things emotionally. We used a combination of cutting edge tools, strategies, and tactics to help make leaps in a performance, including productivity, performance, and profitability. Camille earned a bachelor in business administration and marketing from Texas Tech University and law degree for University of Houston. Camille, thanks for being here. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Friend.
It is beautiful to be here. Thank you, Rhonda. I am so excited and so honored that I met you through Be Connected. That's the first thing, because this platform is for that purpose. But to meet somebody wonderful like you you've served me in so many ways. I'm here to serve today. So thank you. So I want to start out first by just saying, I love that Rhonda allowed us to be real. So, I was brought up to believe that we could do anything that we put our minds to. And so how many of you were kind of brought up with that vein of, I can do anything. I'll put my mind to it. I believe that up until a few years ago, and it was about 2017, when I was challenged. I was stepping out of one career into another career. And I thought, I know how to do this. Like, I had the business background. I know how to market. I had done it before. I know the strategies, but I even hired a coach. And believe it or not, it was about 2017. I've been struggling for a few years, because how many of you feel like, and wherever you are is fine, but how many of you feel like, you know what, I should be further along? Can you relate to that feeling of, you know what, I should be further along? And so I knew something was off. I couldn't figure out what it was. I changed the website, changed the messaging, changed a lot of things, and still things weren't moving. And so that's where that piece of shame came from. So I just wanted to kind of preface what we're talking about with something I'm not talking at you about, something I'm talking to you about that I've experienced and grew to learn that there were a lot more people like me out there that were struggling silently and secretly. I want you to write that down, silently and secretly. struggling, but not really talking about it. Or if you're talking about it, you're talking around it. Long story short, what happened to me is after struggling in that silence and secrecy, I Googled one day and I said, look, there's something going on. I'm going to figure out what it is. And that's where I started. And so as I did, I found there was a professional out there, and I talked to him about what was secretly going on. And he said to me, Camille, I know what's wrong. You're getting in your own way. And I thought, well, I do that often, but tell me more. He said, there's something inside of you that's actually creating this chaos because you're in the middle of a change. He said, and we've got to pinpoint what that is. So in pinpointing what that was, shame was part of it. And so I wanted to find for you today just what I mean by shame, how that shows up, how that affects you, and more than that, how to overcome it. Because that's really what's important here. Wouldn't you say overcoming it is really going to be the adventure of a lifetime? I would have never imagined I'd be sitting here talking to you about how I got stuck or how I felt shame, but I'm grateful to share this experience with you. And there's many more. So as we worked through that and got to the bottom of it, by the way, shame is really this painful feeling that you are defective or that you're disreputable. Or Brene Brown, she has a definition, and I kind of like her definition too. She says it's a painful feeling that something is flawed in you and that you're unworthy of belonging or connecting. So think of a time, maybe in your life or even in your business, where you have felt like, I feel like something's wrong with me. And if I could, I'll raise my hand. I've felt that way many times. And that's what shame does. It keeps you silently thinking that over and over and over. So as you began to think of it, and what I brought today, just I'm a visual person now, is I think about it, and this sticky is red. I hope you can see that. I'm putting a sticky on me because I thought about it. And then I couldn't move forward. And so I had to put more stickies. And as I kept putting more stickies, so remember, something's wrong with me. And I do want to talk a little bit about shame's cousin. How many of you know shame has a cousin? This is about shaming, but what goes along with that is guilt. So I'm going to put, because guilt makes me feel blue. Guilt means there's something wrong with what I'm doing. So can you imagine those cousins together? And they're in your energy field. So they're inside, but it's not showing outside. But if you were to really allow somebody to see your inside, they would see you've got all these stickies. So more shame as I continue to get stuck. So that's how shame really shows up in your energy and experience. So say you're talking to someone about your product or your service or what you do or what you've gone through in your life. You're showing up with these stickies. Now, how does that connect to money? Which is what I do with entrepreneurs, is I help them release that pent up shame, guilt, and other emotions that will result, like doubt. Then it becomes fear. Can you see what I'm saying? I was in fear. Like, wait a minute. How am I going to move forward? I'm trying to move forward. How many of you have ever been stuck in mud and you can't move forward? Your car's just spinning, your tires going, and you're just hitting the accelerator. Guess what? That's a recipe for burnout, right? If you're doing that in your life, you're burning out. And that's how you're showing up in your conversations, maybe with people, with your ideal prospects. And so when that happens, you've got to stop, look, and listen. You might want to write that down, because I'm giving you tools that you can start to do for yourself. Stop, look, and listen. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking internal now. Everything I'm talking about externally is done internally. So one primary question I ask is this, and this is for everything. I wonder what this is about. Write that down. I wonder what this is about. Why am I feeling stuck? Why am I feeling shame? Why is this guilt attaching? Why am I going into doubt? Oh, I can feel it. And now I'm in full-blown fear. So you can imagine you start to work harder, right? You start to spin your tires more. Maybe you change your website. You keep doing the stuff, but the shame continues because of the secrecy, and you're silent about it. So asking yourself the question, stopping, looking, listening is the first mode of response. So going back to my story, I had a gentleman and he said, I'm going to share with you how you're getting in your own way because a lot of times you can't see it. So if that strategy is not working, then you need support. That's the next thing. You have to have support. How many of you know Einstein talks about you can't really solve the problem with the same mind that's creating it? So if you are creating the shame, you're creating the shame from something, and it could be a past experience, a negative past experience. So with being able to start a business and actually grow the business, that's something that was meaningful to me. And I felt shame around being stuck. But what this gentleman was able to do is he was able to get to the bottom of why I was stuck because I couldn't pinpoint it even after I stopped, looked, and listened and said, I wonder what that's about. So this energy and this feeling is going out with me. I'm having sales calls and I'm showing up with shame, with fear, with guilt. And that energy precedes what I'm saying to you. Can you relate to this? Like everybody has internal chatter. My internal chatter is right now. What are you doing, Camille? Well, I am present. What are you doing? I'm talking about shame and guilt. Those are the things that are making my palms perspire. How many of you know when you're in fear and when you're experiencing guilt and doubt and insecurity and the things, you have to really manage that, right? So what do you do instead? So grounding ourselves this morning was so important. Also realizing we're all human is another thing that's important. But then this next thing actually will help you in moving forward to get the support that you need. So I thought I was the only one. How many of you have been in situations where you feel shame and you thought, I'm the only one? I'm the only one and everybody can see me, right? Yeah, that's really something we sit in that really keeps us more stuck. But when I went for support, he said to me, this is not happening to you consciously. This is happening to you in a non-conscious way. So there's some past experiences in your life around money, around success that are creating barriers to your moving forward. And I thought, interesting, tell me more. So you've got to come from it with a tell me more. How many of you like that tell me more instead of I'm defective and what's wrong with me? So you have to really talk about it from a different standpoint. Tell me more is another. I'd write that down because there you come from curiosity, right? Instead of an accusatory, I'm defective. Now, that's how you get your mind to relax a little bit. So what he did for me is he was able to pinpoint some traumatic experiences I had growing up. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. And if you have been in business any length of time, you will know that stuff happens, right? Stuff just happens. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to cause anything, but stuff happens. But as you're around the things that happened in my past experience, some of the things that showed up really brought about shame. So I've been in a family where we've lost businesses. I've been in a business where we've not made any money. We had to shut it down. I've been in a business where we've had some conflict. So there's been lawsuits. So how many of you can think about your past experiences, some of the trauma that you might have experienced? That's what's coming into play when you're in your place of shame. So if you've not really dealt with those things, and believe it or not, in my law practice, I had dealt with those things many times. Most people would come into my office and they would clearly say, I'm in trouble. I'm chronically ill. I can't work. I can't pay my bills. I'm actually going to die and I need your help. And what I noticed is, even after I was able to help them, when I'd have conversations with them years later, some of that shame was still there. Some of that guilt, some of that secrecy and silence, because shame likes to keep us isolated. So how do you overcome this? Well, first of all, since this is energetic, you've got to use something to clean your energy, right? I got to have something that's going to take these stickies off me, right? How do we do that? Well, first of all, have a system for it, but we have to pinpoint where this is subconsciously coming from. And in my case, I knew, and this guy helped me see it when he pinpointed where it was coming from. That was the fear and the limiting belief I had around, I'd been successful at one thing. Could I really do this? How many of you have ever thought about, can I really do this? When you get in a really challenging situation, can I do this? That's a belief that, oh, I may or may not be capable. So that's the belief that I had to deal with. And so when we identified what we needed to release, we pinpointed that, and then we removed those emotions that were really just putting me in chaos, fear, frustration, doubt, you name it, shame, guilt, more than that, because again, I'm thinking these things over and over and over, secretly and silently. But the third step was magical. Somebody say magical, because we don't have to stay there, right? We have to decide, right, that we're going to get the help that we need. And it shows up in our business as maybe we're stuck at a certain income. That's what it showed up as with me. Or maybe you've been trying to do this thing in your life, and for some reason you can't move it forward. You're confident that you know how to do the work. You're confident that you can do the work, but for some reason the needle isn't moving with money. And how many of you know money just shows what's going on inside of us? So it's really not a money problem. It's really what's going on inside of us. So if you've got all the pieces and something's not moving, we have to ask ourselves, who are we showing up as? And why do we feel like we're not enough? Because that's what shame is designed to do. So I want to share with you how to renew your mind in those situations. So there's 2 words that I want to leave you with. 2 words that were king. The first thing I had to do was learn to speak these words. Want to know what they are? Lean in. I forgive. I forgive. So for those situations, those people, and myself for not being able to figure it out and move forward, I had to say, I forgive. And what that does is, I'm telling you, something opens up when you say with your palms open. I release this and I forgive. It's magical what happens because you're saying no more secrecy, no more silence, and I'm empowering myself to learn a new way of being. So going back to that story, I want to share with you just a story of one of my clients, just because it's so beautiful how it all came together for her. She had been in an abusive situation for much of her life through marriage. She had also racked up a lot of debt and she was feeling shame around the debt. But she had purposed to start a new career and she wanted to be a realtor. She got the training, she knew what she was doing, and she felt confident she could do it, but something was holding her back again. And when I met her on a summit just like this. She heard me speaking and she said, I can relate to your story of being stuck. And when we got to the bottom of it, the story was around for her, I'm not worthy, I'm defective, because she had been told that so many times through the partnership she was in. So the sticky around, I'm not worthy, went over and over. More stickies, 20 years worth of stickies everywhere, all over her. Doubt, unbelief. She showed up this way. So we had to pinpoint where were those stickies subconsciously that were keeping her from moving forward. Then we had to arrest these things. Like we had to extinguish this stuff, take it off. No, we're not going to have that anymore. We had to develop a new identity around who she is, who she wanted to be. And she did the work. She did the work and then she reconnected and introduced herself to money. She said, money, nice to meet you now. I'm myself, but I'm another version. And when she met money, money was like, nice to meet you too. I like you. And about 45 days into working with her, I kid you not, she sold her highest transaction ever. She didn't think she was capable, but she did it. She followed, did the internal work, got rid of those stickies, shifted her identity, and guess what? She's doing her thing now. All because she got rid of shame. The shame of being in the relationship, the shame of not being able to do the work, the shame of secrecy and silently suffering. And then now she got the support she needed. So I don't know where you are today or what stickies that you might have, but I hope some of those strategies will really help you as you stop, look, and listen, and arrest the secrecy and silence. Reach out for help. That really will arrest shame. If you reach out for help and you use your voice to say, I need help, and then to say, I forgive, whatever the situation is, whatever the person is, but more importantly, forgive yourself. Thank you, Rhonda, for having me.
Camille, I love every moment of that. So I appreciate you, my friend. I love how you were taking the stickies off. I was like, yes, take the stickies off. And I love that we acknowledge there's a cousin of shame. There's a cousin of shame here. I love that. I love that guilt, because when I was listening to your conversation and what you were saying, it resonated so much with me in that I could see myself in the story that you were sharing about the money. Because sometimes there's so many, you brought up such a great point. It's like threaded throughout what your conversation was, is that sometimes we really believe what's happening out there is that people just don't like our stuff. And so we're not giving our best stuff. We just keep switching around what we're doing, and it's like, hey, you are fabulous the way you are. But how do you work through that? And it was through the shame and also guilt. I love the cousin. I love the cousin. Thank you so much, Camille. I appreciate you. Noreen says, thank you, Camille. Agree with Teresa. Teresa says, much appreciation, Camille. Powerful. And that whole thing about money. Nice to meet you now. Thank you, Camille. Camille, as we get to end your beautiful section here that you did, where would you like people to come and connect with you? I know that we have Be Connected, and so I want to make sure that we do that, of course. Anywhere else that because you can give me some links to, we'll make sure we get it to everybody, but anywhere else you'd like people to meet up with you, get to know you more?
There's a link on my website. You can always go there as well at CamilleWalker.com and /money blocks. So if you think you're stuck, there's actually a way to actually see if you're stuck and having that conflict or chaos around money. So also, if you go there, you actually will get a free session to, number one, acknowledge no more secrecy, no more silence. Like, you will get the support you need. So use that, because money comes in the form of opportunity. And what happens in a setting like this is you hear it and you think, oh, I know that. And yeah, I can do that now. But you'll go back and shame will go, ha, ha, ha. I can get you to stay silent and in secret. You can mean to do it, but not do it. And so it continues to grip you. So really, taking action is one of the biggest blocks that I see people struggle with. Like, they don't want to take the action because your brain is going, we've had this shame so long, we'll just keep it, right?
Yeah.
We'll struggle with it. And so, yeah, if you want to take advantage of that offer, feel free to do that. There's no obligation past that, but it's kind of like you're stepping over shame. And
Yeah. Thank you so much, Camille. Stepping over shame. I love it. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Cheryl Green says, thank you. It is the silently and secrecy. We do not need to, we do need to get help. We do, because the silence is crazy, because we get silent automatically and we don't. You want to be reminded again, over again, because it's going to be something. You got your old dialogue here, 70,000 words a day, and we're known to be 80% negative. We're in that fight or flight. And so we want to get this cerebral part, the frontal cortex, and be able to really get that flow, that coaching, to be able to understand, like the shaming part, like, you're not silencing me. I'm an incredible person. So Camille Walker, thank you so much. Cheryl says, I struggle with, I feel I should be further along. Cheryl, isn't this incredible to actually speak that out loud? Because I think about this stuff like a top 10, like misalignment, like sabotage list. And that is where we start saying, here, wait, I'm a certain age, or I've been doing something a certain thing for so long, I should be. And so it's the strategies that Camille was talking about, stopping the silence, giving yourself the space to say, hello, money, where have you been? Because I had to get in alignment. Cheryl says, I struggle with that. I feel I need to get further. I wonder, what have I done with my life over the last 30 years? I'm glad you're speaking to this. Cheryl, I hope you get some great journaling going with that. And Camille, I actually want you to bring you in one more moment here, because we do have these breakthroughs. Love that, money. Nice to meet you. It says, much appreciation, Camille, powerful. And then everybody's just saying thank you. So Camille, Cheryl's doing some great things here. And Cheryl said that the summit, what she's hearing right now, it's freed her. Camille, just give a couple more little moments here to connect with Cheryl. What would you like to say before you exit out?
Oh, yes. Celebrate your breakthroughs. Every breakthrough adds up. Like this one, kind of like that aha, collect your ahas. Like, I'm looking for something to collect my ahas in, just like we collect shame stickies. So those ahas add up to big breakthroughs. So do that. Like, this may be the beginning of something beautiful, but I would love to see your aha jar. Like, I can't wait to see it, Cheryl.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So Cheryl, the summit freed me. Well, that is incredible. That is this is what we're here for. That was what that moment I got right before we brought Camille in, is that this is what this is about. We're speaker locking arms. We're bringing safety. We're bringing love into a subject that can just feel everlasting, just in our space and won't go away. So there's some strategies around that. Thank you so much, my friend. Okay, let's shift right in here. We have Teresa LaRue. And Teresa, have I been saying your name accurately? Because it's
You
such a fun little H and an X and all those kind of fun little things. those
Well,
little
and the
things.
apostrophe throws people off because a lot of people don't know what an apostrophe is. So I just say it's a comma on the second floor.
On the second floor. So Teresa's here, and what I labeled this was domestic violence survivors. I see you. It's our time with no more shame. Ooh, this is getting powerful. We're going to keep building on this. So you stick with us, everyone. I'm going to keep giving you stuff because it's going to build and build and build. Camille, you did such an incredible base. Natasha, with your motivation through just really centering ourselves. So people coming in right now, when the recording comes out, make sure you grab that beginning part there. Let me introduce you a little bit deeper with Teresa. Teresa is an author, professional keynote speaker, certified personal trainer, master empowerment life coach, entrepreneur, and domestic violence survivor. She is dedicated to serving others and helping those globally find new direction by gathering immense strength within to start their journey away from toxic situations of abuse. She has more than 16 years of experience supporting domestic violence victims and survivors through her coaching, resources, and now this book project. She is on a mission to advocate and create awareness about the issue of domestic violence for healing to begin and continue. She lives with her husband, Cliff, in Sacramento, California, and a menagerie of rescue fur babies, including her Siberian Husky, which her Husky is so
2 of them.
beautiful, Akira and Hachi, along with a collection of kitties all over shapes, sizes, and attitudes. Come walking in, Teresa. It's your time. I got to tell you, I have a precious book here, My Rock, My Hard Place.
Oh, right here.
My journey out of the darkness, surviving domestic violence through faith and the love of friends and fur babies. Camille, I think you need to probably just mute yourself, maybe. I'm seeing you on the screen, and it might just be there. Maybe there's just some little feedback if you can mute. Hey, so this is the book. Teresa is an author, and she's sharing so much about her journey here. So I actually get to interview her this morning, which is so, so good. Teresa, welcome in.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Camille, whoo, powerful stuff, girl. Whoo, Lordy.
Yeah. Teresa, can you give us some insight on your day-to-day coming from this book and sharing so much about your story and about how you support others? Can I start you in a way of, I want to step into your story, but I just have a really quick question to get you going here is, how did you start your day-to-day when you're coming from a base of speaking about that you dealt with abuse in your life? What do you do in your day to get yourself presented and feeling like you're like, I'm gonna nail it today? Like, what's your morning been like getting going?
Well, I would like to first, before I forget, because I'm human and I will forget. Camille said something about ask for help. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is asking for help does not mean you are weak. It means you want to be strong. And I say that all the time to victims and survivors. I'm an advocate now. I have the voice. I have this captain of the cheerleader voice. And so asking for help does not mean you are weak. It means you want to be strong. So that being said, how I start my day, I firmly believe that the two most powerful words in the English language are I am. Because whatever you put after that is what is going to manifest itself. It's what you are going to believe in your heart. And I don't mean oh yeah, I am beautiful. No, I want you to say it, and I do, say it loud enough so your neighbors are like, what the hell is she up to today? Oh my God. It has to be, I am beautiful. I am strong. I am amazing. That's how you have to start your day. And I'll be honest with you. You know what I do? And I don't even know if I have one here. A dry erase marker on your mirror in your bathroom. It comes right off. But while you're brushing your teeth, you look up there and you say it in your mind. You say it in your mind. You put that toothbrush down and you go, I am beautiful. I am a rock star. I am amazing. And another thing you can do too is anchoring. A lot of people don't understand anchoring. And what that means is as soon as I walk in my office and I turn that light switch on, time to work. Soon as I turn that light switch off, okay, I'm done for the day. So if you anchor, and that can be as simple as a football team going out onto the field and they all touch the sign, they touch their logo on the way onto the field. That's anchoring. That's all those emotions. And I got it. That's like a high five with someone, but you're high-fiving yourself. How cool is that? So, you know me, Rhonda, we've met in person. You know, this is like me. This is who I am. I'm a crazy, wild, out of control person, but I am on I know, right? I am on a mission to be the voice for those 1 in 3 victims and all those survivors that are out there that are silently shaming themselves because of what they thought they did wrong. The only thing I did wrong was give my heart to the wrong person, and I gave it with the best intentions. I'm not embarrassed. I did nothing wrong. And actually, my worth went up after that domestic violence situation. If you put your price tag on and you're on the clearance rack at the Dollar Tree, and there is such a thing, I found it the other day. I was like, what is this, a clearance rack at the Dollar Tree? 50 cents? There's such a thing? But if you put that price tag on yourself, what's going to happen? You're going to have somebody that can only afford that. I don't know about y'all, but I'm in a cute little turquoise box with a white ribbon. I am Tiffany all day. I am Gucci all day. I am Louboutins all day. Don't walk in flip-flops if you want to be treated like you're a Louboutin. Don't do it. So that's how I start my day, every day.
Woo, woo. I love that, Teresa. It was such a good explanation. Oh, and I love that captain of the cheerleader. So you must have been doing some cheerleading.
Well, I actually, as you can tell, I was captain of the cheerleaders for many years. And you know, the reason I started my book is when I was waiting for trial with my abuser, the district attorney said, you need to go to counseling. And I went, oh, I don't need counseling. I'm an athlete. I don't need counseling. I was a professional power lifter turned into a bodybuilder. I don't need counseling. I'm good. And I just don't. Within 5 minutes of sitting with this therapist, he says, oh, you need medication because you probably have PTSD. I went, well, I probably do, but I don't need medication. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And I went back to the district attorney and he said, I tell you what, you keep a journal. Well, that journal became this. And last year, this time, I actually heard someone speak and she said, if you have a project that is just back here somewhere, and every now and then it says, pull me off the shelf, pull it off the shelf, get it out, make it happen. So I tore this office apart looking for my book. Now it's been 17 years now since my abuse. It was on a CD-ROM. That's how old it was. Do you know how hard it is to find someone to print that? Oh my God. So I finally found FedEx, called the lady, and she said, come on down, I'll help you. So I'm like this, you know, because this is my life. And I'm like this, I'm nervous, a couple tears. And I said, here you go, here you go. And of course she pulled it up on the screen and of course she read it. You know, she read a couple lines and she put her hand on mine and she said, I got you, girl. She said, not only can I print this, but I can put it on a flash drive. And I went, oh, a flash drive? Really? So she takes me over to the shelves and she says, pick one. And I'm looking, and I look down at the bottom. She says, oh, those are for kids. I said, no, this is for me. Can you guys see this? It's Wonder
Yes.
Woman. This is what I needed to have at that moment in my life. So she sits on my desk, and she's been there because it's been almost a year since I had her printed. And then I looked for an editor. I found a survivor. She lives actually on the East Coast, and we made this happen. So that's what started the whole thing.
Okay, so as you're speaking, we have some incredible stuff here. Let's see. So Cheryl says, Amen, Teresa. I am so proud of you overcoming that trauma and using it to help others. Noreen says, wonderful. And she's saying the journal became like, of course it became your book. Yeah, I mean, your journal is like all about everything that you've experienced. I love it. Camille says, you are amazing, Teresa. Teresa, what would you like to share? I would really love to learn more about you coming from the dark and getting into more of the light and actually becoming this full vibrato of energy that you're sharing here today. What are some of the steps you could give people around this shaming and first off, just kind of sharing your story and then maybe stepping into that part of starting to clear your shaming?
Well, when I was going through domestic violence, I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I was very shameful. I didn't know what I had done wrong. And then the catalyst was one day I tried to help him, and the national statistic is you go back 7 times. That's an average. And I hit 7. And I just couldn't help him anymore. I had lost me. And I refer to the Beatles, and I don't know if anybody's a Beatle fan on here, but Eleanor Rigby keeps a mask by the door and goes out for her day and comes back in and takes it off. And that's what I felt like. This is the real me, but I couldn't be the real me in my house. So I was so ashamed of living that double life and having to wear that mask. I was very fortunate that I still had my profession. I was still a certified trainer. I was still a competitive athlete, but I was two different I was a different person. I was 2 different people, and it just did not feel right. And I went through all the different types of abuse. And a lot of people think, oh, well, he's not hitting me. It's not abuse. Let me tell you, it's abuse if he's degrading you. That verbal, emotional, financial, social, pet abuse. My husky, and if you go on my website, you'll see a picture of him. He lost his eye because of domestic violence. The husband bought the husky at 8 weeks old for the wife. The wife pissed the husband off, and he beat the dog. So pet abuse is real. But there's a new one now, technological abuse. They use your phone, they track you, they blow your phone up, they get your passwords, they pull your bank account, they do all kinds of things. So the shame was there with all of that. And the being humiliated. I remember one of the times when the ambulance came and got me, everybody kind of didn't want to make eye contact with me. And that hurt me to my core, because you see how I am. I love people. I love to share. I love to serve. And to have them not look at me, to see through me, just broke my heart, that I had allowed someone else to make me feel this way inside. That's why I titled my book, My Rock, My Hard Place, because I allowed someone else. I enabled someone else to put me in that position.
Yeah. The analogy of giving my heart to the wrong person, Camille says I can relate with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if
Beautiful.
anything, and that even is not something I did wrong, because as I said, we do that with the best intentions. And then a lot of people, when they get out of a domestic violence situation, and the shame is still there, the humiliation is still there, the embarrassment is still there, they don't realize that it's okay to grieve over the loss of what you thought that relationship was going to be. A lot of people think, oh, so don't waste another moment on him. No, it's not him. It's the loss of my relationship that I thought was going to happen.
I love that
And you
education.
have to get rid of all that.
And it's like you're educating people as you go along the way too. I hear what you're saying. Like
Well,
you're going through your process, and people are like, "I'll just move on," and you're expressing that no, it really is. That's the process of moving on.
mhm.
Can we go into that next layer then about the work that you're doing out there? You are doing some travels, and you're doing different things to get to people physically, and I know you're doing these online things also. And we are on the base of the shaming, like working around the shaming thing. So if you can bring that and layer that in on what you're doing out there in your 401 513BC, whatever that is, your nonprofit also that you're doing. I love this stuff because you're also looking for support and people that want to support this journey that you're on in getting the information out there.
Mhm. Well, when I started my book, it was very important to me that I add in data, real raw data, because a lot of people are like, oh, domestic violence isn't that bad. It's not that prevalent. Oh, girl, last year this time it was 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men. This year, this time, it's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men experience domestic violence. Honestly, Rhonda, I read that and I got mad. No, I didn't get mad. I got so angry that it's 2023. We're the most powerful country in the world, and we're allowing this. And not only are we allowing it here, and I love that you're called Global Vision, because this is a global problem. It's a global issue. And unfortunately, in some cultures, you don't speak up against your husband or your wife. You just don't. And unfortunately, that's where that shame, humiliation, and embarrassment comes in, because that's when everybody looks away from you. That's when everybody looks through you. And that just breaks your heart. So I said, I have to do more. So I started Survive, Rise to Thrive. So you can go on my website, surviverisetithrive.com. We do virtual workshops, and it's interesting. In just 2 days, we have another one, which is Saturday morning. And we have started a series for the whole year, and it's Reinvent Your Life. And we touched on Reclaim Your Dreams. But this one is refocus on you, putting yourself first, mind, body, and spirit. And how important is that you realize your worth? We're back to that whole thing. I don't need to be shamed. I don't need to be told anything bad. If you're not involved in domestic violence and you tell a survivor or a victim, why don't you just leave? Why didn't you leave sooner? You're not helping the situation. Just be there for them, because they are so, they already feel enough. They're already feeling more than you could ever put on them. And I like to say, and I love this analogy, Wonder Woman, her bracelets, something comes bad at you, I got you. Just get rid of it. Just make it go away, because I'm bigger than that. I'm bigger than you. You know, you have to remember that shame is only allowed inside of you if you allow it. So again, that cone of silence, put those bracelets on, do whatever you have to do your affirmations, do your anchoring, do your meditation, and create that cloud and speakers linking arms, that community. And I look at my website or my workshops. We also have in-person retreats that we're going to start in January. And right now they're going to be in California, and we're working on actually Texas, Camille, and also the East Coast. So they're for survivors. And we do have one huge area that we talk about, the embarrassment and the shame, because that's, once you get past that paradigm, once you break through that, the sky's the limit. You can do anything. You have to remember that you have the power inside of you. And a lot of victims don't realize it just takes one step. one step every day in the right direction. And that's what Survive, Rise to Thrive. That's our purpose. That's our mission, is to be there with you every step of the way. We help and link legal services. We help with family justice centers in the larger cities. We work with shelters across the country. We work with fostering and boarding pets of victims so they can leave and both them and their pets can get out safe and together.
Oh, I love that. I had a little bit of technical stuff going there, so sorry about that. Teresa, I love hearing how you are serving this world in what we were talking about, how the stats have changed from like the extreme of what's been happening lately. I had to exit out. There's something happened with my internet, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I hope I'm in the right trajectory here. So, with you going out there and making those changes, what are some of the things that you're starting to notice about your work and some of the transformation, some of the stories that you have about what's been going on that you've been able to change or update or, help an individual or help a group? I'd love to hear some of the steps you're seeing as you're getting out there and very active.
I am all over social media and of course my website, and I get messages every single day, every single hour. Hi, I don't know what to do. I'm at this stage, I'm at that stage. I left, but now I need to go back because I'm pregnant and I'm this and then that, whatever. And one story that will forever, and I'm saying that it's going to stick with me forever. I had someone reach out to me on Facebook Messenger and she says, I've been watching your posts. I need help. I said, okay, let's talk. And her name is Brandy. And she said, I can get to my uncle's house in Virginia. She was a couple states away, but I don't know how to do that. I got you. I got her to her uncle's house and she was safe. Her abuser had no idea where she was. She started all types of legal proceedings in that state. She was allowed to leave, which I thought was amazing. And she said, well, I need a job. Let's work on your resume. So we Zoomed together, worked on her resume. The day she sent me the picture of her first day at work with the biggest smile on her face will forever be imprinted on my heart. It was worth it because I started Survive, Rise to Thrive not to do anything other than help one person and then help the next one and then help the next one and then help the next one. And then hopefully it would be a big, huge net and everybody would help everybody else in this community because we have to stick together. And I feel that I'm using my voice for those who are silent. So that is truly my story that will stick with me on my heart for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Last part here. I want to hear some of the healing points that you get as you're going along when you help these people, because I hear your heart right now. How does that, we're people out here, we've been talking about speaker locking arms and those things. And sometimes we get concerned about, well, it's not really about me. It's kind of like that transformation kind of a thing that we're talking about here. And sometimes shame kind of slows us down into really acknowledging, helping somebody smile, helping somebody survive, helping somebody, all these things. For you in your personal journey, what are you noticing for yourself as you are going through this? What are some of the healings that you're starting to feel for yourself as you're getting further and further away from this information that you share here in your book and the stuff you've had to deal with in your life? What are some of the learning nuggets you've been learning about yourself?
Well, it's interesting in my book, and I'm sure you've seen at the end of every chapter, I do have a little worksheet so that you're actually able to just write down. Journaling is so important. What did you gather from this chapter? And so having to edit this book over and over and over again, I did all that. And actually each time, they always talk about the onion peeling the layers off. Well, it's kind of backwards when you're healing. You're making another skin, and not in a bad way, but you're making yourself stronger. And it's another layer of empowerment. And that's what I feel that I've been able to accomplish, because every time I help someone, I'm helping me. Let's be honest. I mean, let's be real. When I speak and when I talk to anyone, and I'll be in an Uber. I was in an Uber in Dallas in May and had a conversation with the Uber driver, and she was an actual court advocate for sexual abuse. And we had this amazing conversation, and she says, "Oh, you should be a speaker. You're really good." And I said, "Well, actually, I'm on my way to do something right now, but thank you." It was like so cool, you know, but I came away and I was just a little bit stronger, and just a little bit, you know, my light was stronger inside. My being tenacious as I am, it just made me want to do this even more. What else can I do? It was kind of like after I read the data, and it was like, what else can I do? Oh, I can do this, or let's do this, or I can partner with this person, or I can do that. And so each time, you know, like when I met you, Rhonda, for example, I went, oh my gosh, I'm so happy and so blessed and grateful that I ran across this lady, and it was Facebook, for goodness sakes. And you know, I believe that the universe puts people in your path for a reason. And, you know, I was supposed to be here today. It wasn't on my calendar yet, but I was supposed to be here today. And each time I do something or speak something, or even packing up my books, I'm getting ready to travel to DC. I'm actually going to be speaking at Women's Authors Unite. And just packing that up, you know, each thing I put in the suitcase, all the books, it was so empowering to me. I was like, it was a proud moment. And I think that's one thing also that we lose, along with being, you know, so shameful. We lose being proud of ourselves, you know, and a lot of survivors will say, oh, I don't know what to do. Just do one thing. Just do one thing, put it on your list, and don't call it a to-do list. Call it a to-do list. So when you check it off, you go, ta-da, and it's a celebration. Even if it's the littlest thing. When I was going through domestic violence, I would drive past these beautiful condos twice a day on my way to work and on my way home. And I would always say, gosh, I would love to live there. It looks so calm and peaceful, unlike my home life. The day I got those keys to that condo on the 3rd floor with the balcony, I was so proud of myself. And that's when I took that sticky note off, Camille. I was like, I am not shameful anymore. I am proud of myself. And so that's kind of how all this has helped me.
Breathing that in. Noreen was saying your work is imprinted on many hearts. You're amazing. That's great. Ta-da list. I like having that list be labeled.
Well, you know, you can actually get a button that says ta-da, and you push on it and it says ta-da.
Ta-da.
Right.
My friend, we're going to get a link in so people can connect with you, but I'd like to just hear that verbalization from you. Where are you sending people today to be able to connect with you? And yeah, where is that?
Well, there's
what is
two websites you can go to, which is myrockmyhardplace.com, and that will take you actually to the book, which if you want to purchase the book, which is right here, you can actually go on surviverisetothrive.com. And anybody that is a listener and does purchase it today or tomorrow, I will personally sign it and send it out myself to you. You can also visit me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Survive, Rise to Thrive. And I do have a private Facebook group for victims and survivors. You have to, you know, no scammers in there, no stalkers. We want to make sure it's a safe, judgment-free place for anyone that really is interested, either for themselves or for a loved one. So surviverisetothrive.com. You can see what we have upcoming. You can see our mission statement and our core values, which are so very important to me. And also some pictures and of course the Huskies.
I love that. I love in your book the picture of you and your doggie, and I mean,
Oh, the
I
first page.
love I love that everything that you do, you're at places to be able to have the help the fur babies, and also help the women. So that is beautiful that you're doing that in every location. That's incredible. So Camille says, thank you for reminding all of us to be proud of ourselves. We forget, don't we? Especially when we're talking about shaming, the silence, the quiet space of whatever goes on in that mind.
And
So
we
I
have to
appreciate you.
remember,
Mhm.
thank you. And we have to remember that it's not just women that experience domestic violence, men as well. And they have even more shame because here they are, these big, strong guys, and they're not supposed to be, it's hardly ever physical. It's usually financial, it's verbal, it's emotional. And they are the last to speak up. So they're carrying around a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of humiliation. And I've seen it. I actually have partnered with survivor coaches, and there's 2 of them that are males. So we have to remember that it's not gender specific at all.
So Teresa, you're working with males also?
Yes.
Okay, got you, my friend. So
Mhm.
you're working with spirits out there that are
Yes.
working through this journey. I appreciate you so much, Teresa. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I can hear
having
the
me.
cheerleader in your vocals. I love it. And so, and any donations or any things like that toward what your cause is, we'll make sure that we get that
Well, you can
information to
actually, on
them.
my website, there's a button to donate to our cause. And if you
Excellent.
donate through the SRT Foundation, we are a nonprofit. So I will make sure you get a receipt. You can also, anything that you donate helps, like, $10 will help us board a pet for a day. It also helps in, one of my goals is to get my retreats, which is a weekend retreat. I would love to be able to gift some stays for some survivors. That would be great.
Mm. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you for giving all your love. I appreciate it.
And I
Appreciate
love you as well. Thank you, Rhonda and Camille and Noreen.
Yeah. All right. We have community here, which is great. We're going to transition, and again, we've had some great stuff. We've had meditation, we've had conversation about the shaming and the cousin of the guilt. Oh, I love that with Camille. And then, oh, so powerful too, Teresa, just thinking about what we can do in this world to help others that are in extreme, and some that don't even realize they are because they're shaming and they're quieting themselves. So let's give a lot of love out to those people. Just breathing that in for a moment. All right, here we go. Next beautiful expert that we have here today, Noreen Howard. And I was noticing, Noreen, that I might be saying Noreen sometimes because those R's really get me since I was very young. So I'm doing the best I can, which is so beautiful.
I've
Okay,
been
so
called far worse.
we're focusing in, and this is what I labeled it, but we got more depths here. But no more shaming onto your path to market prominence and profit. And I want to give a really good sharing of what Noreen is about. Noreen, before I do that, are you really set for being able to see at the top where you can share your screen and do
Yeah,
stuff like
we'll see
that?
how
So
that
you're good.
goes because I like the eye contact too, but is
Yeah.
it a problem if I kind of go in and out of the screens? Or is it best to just, well, we'll see how it goes. So let me
Yeah,
see.
because you're when you share screen on with this software, I believe you're going to just see the screen. And then when you bring yourself
Okay.
back in it, and I do have it on speaker view, and Facebook where it's flowing, it sees all of us. But for the software where we're recording is Be
Okay.
Connected. So yeah. So we'll
Okay.
okay, so you get to decide. You get
Yeah.
to decide. I'm going to introduce you. And live community, I just wanted to make sure like when we do live shows, this is what you get. This helps you even think about like the theme of the shaming is sometimes we think that something's supposed to look so perfect. And I think about this when I was here at my ranch and I was running a group, and they came in for the day, and I had half of my area that was carpeted that should have been set up to where my place looked perfect, but we were in transition of updating the area where everybody was sitting. And I started thinking about, I have this beautiful hardwood floor, and on the other side I have this carpet that's been there probably for like 30 something years. And I said, I could stop having this event that I was going to have because everything wasn't prepared. Have you ever felt that way, where you're just feeling like you want to be prepared for something and everything has to look perfect? I want you to think about that. When shaming comes in and you know that things aren't quote unquote perfect, we get to be human. We get to love in on everything we're doing. And I love what Noreen is talking about too, is that we're going to be discussing things about keeping earning income and keeping yourself moving forward, because shame can stop you in that. So let me give a real good proper introduction here. Noreen Howard is the founder of Noreen Howard International, specializing in business and leadership coaching, consulting, and NH Studios, a creative communication company. She spent a lifetime as both an executive in the Fortune 500 world and entrepreneur, strategically developing millions of dollars of business. She left the corporate world to start her own business and embark on a very different mission, one much closer to her heart. Her mission now is to elevate women to create the positive impact they desire to make in this world, to support and champion women in unlocking their professional and entrepreneur brilliance, become powerhouse women leaders, and create financial freedom, all while being the best possible version of themselves. Noreen is here to speak with you about heart, leadership, business. Please join me in welcoming Noreen. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Thank you. Thank
Noreen,
you.
you're welcome.
So imagine this, that you're an executive with a Fortune 500 company, having spent much of your adult life climbing that ladder, being one of very few women that have reached the level that you have. You're at the top of your game and you have a lot to show for your time, effort, and commitment. And then all of a sudden, you decide to move on, to change course, to maybe create something new, something different. Well, the only problem was you don't know what. You just know that you're meant for more. You know that you're meant for more. And here you've spent a lifetime doing something that you're now saying, okay, there's another chapter for me. So would you think that you're crazy wanting to make that change after all of that success? Or would you think maybe you're having a midlife crisis? Or perhaps you know you're crazy because you are actually making that change. So you probably would think that person was crazy. And that was me. I made that change. So some of the people on this call might be thinking about making changes like that too, where they've invested so much time and energy into something and the shame sort of steps in as to, well, how can you pivot like that? How can you do that? You've put so much into this. But maybe you're not looking to make that change. Maybe you're immersed in your solopreneur journey or your entrepreneurship, your freelance work, your contractor work, just wondering how you can get this darn thing to start making some money, grow, scale, and be all that you want it to be. So I don't need to tell you that shame and fear can provoke doubt in us when we're struggling to figure things out. And I see that every single day. So although I come in the context of business and marketing and all those practical things that are wonderful in the world, what I see is a lot of the mindset work and the leadership work, the blocks, the things that are internally emanating from us internally that are really creating the issues for us. It's not really so much about the how, it's about who we are being. So there's no entrepreneur that I know who is immune from shame or fear. And it's amazing what we do to ourselves when we are in the midst of figuring all of this stuff out to move ahead, get ahead, and live the life that we know we're here to live and dream about. So I'm not going to be the one to tell you that this is easy, because it's not. We're talking about shame today, no shaming strategies, and we'll just infuse that in the conversations and the stories that I share with you. It's important, though, to recognize that 36% of the American workforce, over 70 million people, work as freelancers, contractors, self-employed. And that number is rising by the day. All of them have experienced shame. I mean, you might think it's bold for me to say that, but frankly, I don't know a single person in my life who hasn't experienced shame. All of them have experienced the doubt, uncertainty, the fear that gets in the way of them boldly moving forward, particularly when they're looking to shift from something that is perceived to be much safer and secure, right? That we have this great executive job, I'm at the top of my game, and now I'm looking to blow it all up and do something, for myself. So this begs the question, how can we lead our way and succeed with the confidence that is required in spite of the shame and the fear that will inevitably rear its head? So that's really what I wanted to talk about today, was how do we lead and succeed in life and in business our way? So I'm going to share some lessons that I've learned about how to do that, and share concepts and stories and experiences of clients who have managed to put shame and fear on the back burner. And in so doing, they have fundamentally shaped the way they have chosen to live, to grow, and to make a difference in this world. So I'm going to start with a short story about a 16-year-old girl. A 16-year-old girl who dared forward and started before she was ready. This young woman lived in a very dysfunctional household. Teresa, a lot of what you were talking about, just reminds me of this story. And she was just looking for her escape to survive. She had it in her mind as a very young child that she was going to graduate high school early, that she was going to get out and get on the path to living her life and surviving without the confines of the insecurity and the disasters and the violence and everything that she was surrounded by daily. So she was a great student, and where she made arrangements with the school district to be able to take extra courses so that she could graduate early. The best laid plans fail. And the next thing she knows, her father dies, her mother moves to Florida, and the Florida school district said, you can't leave early. You can't graduate early. We're not going to honor any of that work that you've done. You have to stay here. But that was not going to fly for her. So she proceeded to up and leave, get herself accepted into a private college of her choice on a full scholarship without graduating high school at the age of 16. She had a plan, and she was scared as heck with nobody supporting her, right? But she figured out the way to get her plan moving, to dare forward, to do it, and to not let anything step in her way. So obstacles will always rear their head. Obstacles could easily be the very excuse that we stop dead in our tracks and that we wait to do what we know we're here to do. You know, those obstacles can be things like, I'm not ready, or I'm not skilled enough, or I'm not equipped, you know, to do this at this point. I don't have the courage, or, you know, there's no college that's going to accept me because I didn't graduate high school. So we immediately take ourselves out of the game. Well, those excuses, not a single one of them are true. They may be true in our mind, but they're not true in our heart. And when we really connect with who we are and who we choose to be, your heart is telling you, you know what? Go for it. Take a try. Just take a step. Move in that direction. So start before you're ready and dare forward to take your first step. This is huge. Now, I am going to try just to share a screen just so you can get a picture of who I'm talking about next. If this doesn't work, then we will just abandon this.
Do you see up there on the top right?
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Okay.
I thought you left, Rhonda. I'm sorry. It's good to have you back. Okay. So, okay. So this is Christine. Can everybody see this?
Yep, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, this is Christine. So when I met Christine, she had just left her employment, or had recently left her employment as a CPA for a leading global financial advisory company, and who also provided tax services. She wasn't working at the time I met her. She had just completed her yoga teacher training, and she wasn't really certain what she wanted to do next. And this was right before the pandemic. So Christine ended up building an online Zoom community to support people during the pandemic who were really looking for her unique and compelling style of yoga at a time when everything was shut down and the world was really closed up, as we can easily remember. And she was teaching yoga and meditation. So that community is still going strong. That community is still going strong. She loves serving her clients both communally and privately now. But there was a piece of her vision that was unrealized and unfulfilled. She had always wanted to work with children who were experiencing acute health conditions, with the intention of providing healing and healthy practices for them that could complement their traditional health care. So she ended up applying to a major medical institution devoted to children, one of the best in the world, frankly. It was a position to be a contractor to do her yoga and yoga therapy with them. And she got turned down immediately. They said, you don't really have quite the experience that we're looking for. But she was so passionate about this work that she continued to communicate. She continued to show them what she could do for them, how her work could benefit the children at their hospital. And through asking for what she wanted and being diligent and just connecting with people, she was able to get her foot in the door and eventually landed the position. So it's a remarkable story because I know this institution and people that lead at this hospital quite in major positions, and it is not easy to get into this place. But she asked for what she wanted. She pursued. She didn't let shame and fear of not of being told that she wasn't enough or didn't have enough experience to get in her way of pursuing what was really in her heart to pursue. And so she is happily supporting now both children and adults in creating healthy healing practices, all because she put her shame and fear on the back burner and went after her dream. And so she's living her dream, and I'm really, really proud of her. She's emerged quite substantially. Okay, so the truth is entrepreneurship is not a safe path. There are failures and lots of mistakes along the way that we get to navigate and figure out and hopefully get to the other side with. So the next person I want to introduce you to is Giovanna. So I'm just going to put up a screen of her. Okay, now let me see what I did here. I lost where I'm at.
We'll have to reshare. So look at your screen, then you can reshare.
Yeah, so how do I get back to you? Let me exit here. There we go.
I can see.
Okay,
you.
I see. Okay, all
Mhm.
right. So this is not who we want. I just think it's always wonderful to put a face with the story. So
Yeah.
indulge me for just doing this.
Oh, Elaine. Okay.
No, well, Elaine will be next or
Oh,
coming. So, so this is Giovanna. So Giovanna is Giovanna adapted to stay relevant. Okay, so let me tell you about Giovanna. She's an Italy travel specialist and had a thriving boutique luxury travel company. And then the pandemic struck, and we all know travel was shut down, let alone what happened in Italy. So after the initial shock and managing her roller coaster emotions around this, just, you know, everything being a big question mark, and seeing that her life in one moment was upended, right? All her income, all her, you know, connections with her clients, and the realization that this was not going to end quickly. She had to adapt and pivot her plan. So it was important for her to stay relevant in her clients' eyes. She has very loyal clients, but obviously you can't be pushing travel during a time like the pandemic. So she proceeded to, and also wanted to find an alternate path, right, where she could sustain herself with revenue. So in walks an old dream, the old dream of creating an online shopping site where she could sell artisanal products from selected artists and vendors in Italy, and also complement the shopping site with experiences for people. So she connected with chefs in Italy, because of course the chefs weren't cooking in restaurants and their lives were shut down as well, and provided online cooking classes for her audience. So, and also at the same time, she felt very compelled to give a portion of all of her proceeds from the shopping site and the cooking experiences to foundations and causes in Italy that were really close to her heart, because she wanted to really help with the rebuilding from the ravages of the pandemic that were occurring in her home country, Italy. So today, Giovanna enjoys both a thriving travel business and a very healthy second revenue stream through her online shopping site. And she managed to pull together her passions and do something productive at a time when it really would have been easy to quit or to just stay in bed, right? Just because of the shame and the fear and everything that overcomes us when life as we know it just blows up. So her ability to adapt meant that she could stay relevant with her clients, be profitable and sustainable, and more importantly, that she could make the social impact with the foundations that she really wanted to make. And then of course, her travel came back. When it did come back, she was booked solid. So, so that's the story of adapting in the face of challenge, pivoting the plan, not letting our emotions, shame, fear, whatever, guilt, whatever is going on, get the best of us. And it was a really tough time for her, but we got her through it. And she then ended up being really, really excited about this new phase and new part of her life. So the next person I want to share with you, Rhonda knows, is Elaine. So let me just
Yes,
go.
I didn't know you were going to be talking about her. Elaine is fun and wonderful. This
Yeah,
is great
Elaine's
stories.
great. Okay. Okay, so this is Elaine. Elaine is a video performance coach, actress, and comedian. And video is the most popular media format for the 4th year in a row. Businesses are investing substantial amounts of money into this format to boost sales and expand their reach. So there is demand, right? There's demand for someone like Elaine. But along with the demand comes a sea of competition. Everybody's trying to get in the game. So it would be easy for someone like Elaine, when faced with the reality of all the competition and the noise, like why would somebody, a business owner or a company, pick me when they have all these technicians or people that can edit, people that have more of the technical background, can do the work for them. And this is when it's important to remember that there's only one of you. There's only one Elaine with her experiences, her skills, her talents, her passions, right? And nobody else has that same package. So for the longest time, Elaine was beating herself, her head against the wall, because she was trying to go up against these other quote unquote professional video companies, when she realized that by combining her passions as well and bringing things forward that she loved and that she really had talent in, which was performance coaching and vocal authority, all critical in video and shows like this and anything that we're doing technologically with visuals these days. And her comic and improvisational skills and her ability to really help clients create captivating videos. That's when she began to stand out. That's when people said, this is the brand that I really want supporting me with my videos. I don't really care, I'll get the technical guys separate. It's not that she can't do some editing and things like that for people, but she focused on where her strengths laid. And she integrated all of her passions to a point where she created a unique brand that truly is in demand today. And so you want to honor your multiple passions. Anything that you think is a part of you that doesn't belong in your work or your business, you may want to rethink that, right? Some things we can keep outside of that, but we are best in business when we bring the whole of us to our business. So integrate your passions. Okay, the next person is Kelly. Rhonda, am I going over time, or do you want me?
We're close to your transition. So if you have one more story,
I
that's
have
great.
a couple of people to go through still. So
Yes, maybe one more would be great.
okay, all right. I'll just go quickly through this.
Okay.
So can you see this screen?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is Kelly. Kelly has a passion for place. She is a real estate agent and a purveyor of very high quality textiles. And you can imagine with those two businesses, they seem on the surface very different, and yet there is a common thread with them. And she persisted with a focus on small wins to connect with interior designers and architects that actually could work with clients that she sold properties to, and then use her to really adorn their homes the way they wanted. So, she truly is a story of a lot of frustration of just putting two different businesses together and integrating them in a way where, with the small wins, she is now the premier source that not only people like us, consumers, go to for their textiles, but also architects and engineers. So she's just been a story of persistence with a focus on small wins. I do want to quickly mention Doris. Doris had a vision, and she had to really see and rethink what was possible and impossible for her. So the great thing about Doris is she left a big corporate job in the United States, where she basically developed products and sourced products for big retailers globally. And then she decided to leave that role, go back to her home country of Germany, and start doing the same work for other smaller American companies who really needed her expertise and global connections. So it was really tough getting going with her business, and we got her business to a very enviable level overseas. The real thing that I want to point out here was that she always had a vision to live in Italy. She had a dream that she wanted to live in Italy, and she had every excuse in the world for not doing it. She was a single mother of a young son, and she had like this 5-year game plan. And then through regular conversations over the course of several weeks, clearly this dream of moving to Italy was haunting her. And so I challenged her on it, and I said, okay, let's have a deeper discussion about this. Let's think about how you can make this happen, right? And she immediately was trying to put me off, but then she indulged me. We got into a deeper conversation. Within a couple of weeks, she found herself in Italy, looking at cities, looking at places to live, checking out schools, came back. By taking the action, right, and stopping the excuse that it was impossible at that juncture, right? She saw the vision for what it really could be. And within 2 months, she had moved completely from Germany to Italy and has been living there for several years with her son, enrolled in a wonderful school and living in the magical place that she calls home. So the last thing I wanted to mention was just, I do want to put a call out to the book, a shout out to the book, Who, by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Who, not how. And I had a picture of it on the slide, but I'm not going to mess with the slide in the spirit of time. But at the end of the day, relationships matter, right? With every question that we ask ourselves in terms of how do I do this? The better question is, who can help me with this, right? Every single one of those stories that I shared with you was about connecting with people that help them in that journey to create what they want, to allow them to get shame and fear on the back burner because they were taking action and they were connecting with people who were way further along and could help them advance their career, their entrepreneurship. So the who question is way more powerful than the how question. So I encourage you to read the book, build your capacities for reaching out to create relationships and connections, because that's pivotal in your journey. So to wrap up, you may have figured out that 16-year-old girl who dared forward was me.
Can you unshare your screen so we can see you? I love how you're ending this. I want to see your face.
Oh my gosh, I thought I unshared it.
This is wonderful how
Okay.
you're ending this. Thank you, Noreen.
Okay. All right. Now, so I thought I unshared it. Sorry. So yes, that 16-year-old girl who dared forward and started before she was ready was me. She figured it out. I figured it out. It was a long road with a lot of twists and turns, side routes, detours, and I'm still on some days figuring it out. There's nothing perfect about this journey. So here's what I'd like to say to that 16-year-old and to all of you, everyone who's on this call. In the hope that your journey can just be a little bit smoother with the principles that I shared. Keep going for your dreams, right? Combine your passions, acknowledge them, relish them, honor them, ask for what you want, persist and stay the course, focus on your small wins, and adapt in the face and challenge. And finally, find the who at every turn, because you can be someone else's who is looking for you.
Noreen, I love that. In our community, Camille says, put shame and fear on the back burner is worthy of remembering daily. Where can we connect with you, my friend? Where is a great
Yeah.
space?
So I had have it on the last slide. I have a handout, 10 laws for brilliant women.
Nice.
And if you go to Brilliant Women, plural, WOMEN.com, you can download that handout.
So brilliantwomen.com.
Brilliantwomen.com.
Mhm.
And Rhonda, if it's on the last slide if you're looking to put that in anything, but here, I'll put it here.
I have it right here.
Okay, all
I
right. And also, you can connect with me. Just go to my website, Noreen@NoreenHoward.com, if you want to have a conversation about your business or anything, or just to follow up from this, just to get to know each other more.
And Noreen,
The other thing is I'm also on LinkedIn every single day. LinkedIn,
Oh.
I give a lot of value on LinkedIn, really not just quotes and things like that. I really, it's a place where I love connecting with people. And
I love you on TikTok. To be able to watch your expertise and just these little snippets too, you do really good stuff of talking about business also. So anybody on TikTok, it's a great place to get those really quick stuff. And then of course, I love LinkedIn, because if that's your main platform of giving like really deeper stuff, make sure you find Noreen there. Noreen, thank you so much for being here. This is why I wanted you here. I've just been watching you, and Noreen, this is your second time with being here, huh? With
Yeah.
Fresh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much, my friend. And
Well, no, thank you
all-
for the
all your
opportunity.
background.
Thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me. It was really, and I hope it wasn't too academic. I actually hadn't seen the shame thing, and I was creating sort of this new, smaller talk, because you said, do it like a TEDx style talk. And so I
Yeah.
thought, okay, so, and then like last week I saw the shame piece. I don't know when I got the
It's okay, my friend. You did
yeah,
excellent.
but it's like, okay, let me fit this in somehow, because that is behind the scenes in all of this all the time. We know that.
Isn't that true though, Noreen? It's like,
Yeah.
I could have told you like guilt or, like not stepping into something. Like everything you do is about like moving forward, like believing in yourself. And, that all stems from all of that. So you did an excellent job,
Yeah.
my friend. I
Yeah,
appreciate you. Thank you so
everyone.
much. Woo! All right. Taking a deep breath here. We have our expert that is that we got her in. Okay, so it's interesting. Be connected. There's certain ways you can get in live on that software, and I couldn't get her in right away. So I'm so happy that we got Stephanie in here, because this is like, I'm so happy. I'm learning this software, so I love this. I love everybody that is watching right now. We're going to be really landing this thing up till 11 o'clock Pacific time. So let's welcome in. We have Stephanie Colasico here. I labeled this "Removing Undesirable Patterns to Live a Truly Extraordinary Life." So removing undesirable patterns. I love that because I think about the back of our mind with all the history and the connection, the synapses that really brings in that guilt. That frontal cortex is where we truly carry a lot of our shame. This is where we really go with the fight or flight right here too. And what we're doing is we're trying to clear. So removing undesirable patterns. This is perfect. Stephanie Colasico, am I saying that right? A transformative guide and healer dedicated to empowering both men and women on their unique journeys towards embracing miraculous change. Stephanie will be bringing in her innate gifts through mediumship and energy healing to help you navigate life's challenges and discover the extraordinary within yourself. This is an area that I got to meet Stephanie when she was doing a summit, and it was around a stepping in as parents and being able to clear ourselves. So she does a lot with the getting clear, embracing who you are and the change. And we were speaking about if we stand up for ourselves in healing, then how does that affect the people around us? And her summit was specific to children, but think about this. Those delicate souls that are all around us, what she's talking about is let's get rid of that undesirable pattern that you can actually see. Sometimes we don't see everything, but we really do know there's some main things we're like, oh, darn, did I really show up like that? So I love that Stephanie is talking about truly an extraordinary life, I believe. And I guide myself in the spirit every morning about how this is going to happen right here and now. Welcome in Stephanie Colasico.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and all of these beautiful technology. This technology is awesome. So we got here today, and I really appreciate that it's working for us. So I'm giving thanks to it. Thank you for inviting me into this space. I'm truly honored, Rhonda. These are amazing women you have here today.
I'm breathing that in because I feel like this connection today of us going deeper and deeper in these different approaches for shaming and showing up and how we can clear some of this stuff that we're like, here, wait, is that still showing up? Good, I got your back. That's what I feel like you're doing today, Stephanie. So let's get into this, my friend. How did you get into this area of, I find that you are a very spiritual being. Like there's things that you really are sharing with people about how to step in to being able to believe that every day can be an extraordinary life.
Yes, it wasn't always like this for me, right? As a young child, I was always really drawn to helping other people, and I didn't necessarily have a direction to do that. I tried to find my way, right? So fast forward, trying to find my way in my life as a child. My first adult experiences, right as I got out of my parents' house, were abusive. My first adult, relationship at 19, I moved in with my boyfriend. That was abusive on every level you could imagine. And I went through years where I didn't tell anyone about it. I was afraid because I wasn't exposed to that as a child. I had no idea. I was not equipped with understanding. I just thought, oh, this is what adults do, right? You get up, you just put your big girl panties on, you get over it, and you just keep moving on. And I kind of wore that like armor and created this strength for myself. And so I share this because that was a very significant time in my life. That was 18 to 22, and that shaped a large portion of my life. But it continued to happen over and over. I got out of that, but I also was attracting men that weren't emotionally available. I'd have jobs and then I'd lose jobs. I was emotionally not very regulated. I was incredibly sensitive and like things triggered me all the time. And with it being an Aries fiery personality, so all of these things would build up and up. And I just was like, man, I must be born to just take on the world, right? Just to like, just this really hard shell until my daughter came along 7 years ago. And I was experiencing these things again. Her father was very dangerous and abusive, and I had to leave that situation. And fortunately, she's never met him. But then after that, you know, another job I'm let go from, and I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Like, why does this keep happening in my life? I feel like I just don't understand, right? I don't understand why I'm attracting certain people. I don't understand why you know, I'm having jobs, losing jobs, having money, losing money, you know, struggling with my weight and my body image, and struggling with relationships with women in my life. Who are they to me? You know, all of these things. And I finally said, all right, I give up. I surrender. And, you know, there were certain people in my life that came to help me. And within a year, and I'm going to call this the beginning of my awakening, in that first year, I was in a near-death accident where I left my body, and I had a brain injury, I had brain surgery, and I decided to, that catapulted me into my experience. And through those years of healing, I knew that something was going on. And I was really battling because it was a brain injury. And typically, you know, people are like, just be, you know, my neurologist is like, just be thankful you're alive. And I'm like, no, but these things are happening. And little did I know, it was because people from who have passed on were contacting me. And there was this excuse to myself and other people that were like, just, you know, it's just the brain injury. It's just this, it's just that, it's just your imagination. And so I kind of went in seclusion. I secluded myself for a while because I'm like, I knew deep down that there was no way that my daughter was going to repeat my patterns and live the life that I was living of shame and guilt and not being seen for who I truly am. So I invested in, you know, mentors and healers and coaches, and really allowed my gift to start coming out. And when I started sharing this gift with the world, I allow other men and women to find the root system of their own repeating patterns. And 90% of my clients, it's tied to an ancestor, which happened generations and generations and generations ago, that just has been repeating itself over and over again. And so I'm able to incorporate in my energy healing this very beautiful part of mediumship, where we can find the root system of these things that continue to happen. And we can come up with a plan. We clear it. We first clear it and give it some love and acknowledgement. And then we come up with a plan on how do we reprogram your system and allow you to kind of stop yourselves in the track. Because at the end of the day, when we're repeating a pattern, we made a turn somewhere that potentially we could have decided something else, right? Based on our beliefs and our patterns. So I work with a lot of people on like, a lot of people come to me and they're like, I'm stuck. I cannot be here anymore. This cannot continue to happen, to, oh my gosh, I'm free, you know? So I just gave you a long spiel, but you know,
That's
this
okay,
is,
Stephanie. I actually wanted to backtrack. I want to understand. This is beautiful because you're speaking about something that I feel like it's new for me. And so I want to breathe into that space a little bit more. You know, the work that you're doing, I want to understand that more. There's something I think that might be unique to what I don't hear everybody talking about when they're talking about healing, is when you said that when you work with people and they may not know, you know, where it's coming from, and the work that you do, you can know where that comes from, and it can be generation to generation to like it could be further back. And I mean, I've heard of this work, but the way that you said it just really caught my attention, and your special sauce in what you do. So are you saying that when you are working with people, it's not just like what's happening here and now, you're going back and really systemically seeing where this is coming from. Am I understanding that?
Absolutely, you are. Absolutely. I'm able to see what the way I communicate with people that have passed over, and I'm going to say they really communicate with me, is through signs and symbols, or I see a scene. There's a scene that happens, and I have a handful of clients who have emailed me back and they've done some research, and I love getting the stories where they're like, I found out from my great grandmother this really did happen. But yeah, I'm able to see how this took place. Because I'll give you an example if that helps. Let's say, there was a client at one time who came to me, and this person was like, I don't understand why I want to hang on to money so tightly. I've never had any traumatic experiences, but I just don't want to spend it. I'm afraid of spending it. And it's, creating an issue in my relationship with my partner. And, so we went into this healing, and I was able to see the scene of this woman in her home, and it looked like a cottage, and she was left by her husband, and she was now having to take care of her family by herself, and she was worried, and she had to make all the money, and there was all this fear, right, about like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do this. She was showing me that she had to, like, for every penny, it had to go to somewhere, because she no longer had her husband to provide. And so money, there was this really tight belief system of money is evil, right?
Mhm.
And so I was telling this to her, and I remember her saying, well, I know about my grandmother experiencing her husband was a firefighter and he never came home, and they had 6 kids. And I said, I love that you're sharing that with me, but this is very clear that this is older. This goes back farther than that. And, the next day she actually came back, and I always tell people, if they're going to ask about their family history, to use discretion, because sometimes it can cause some really uncomfortable things in the family. But, she was comfortable enough to ask, and she emailed me back and she said, my mother's grandmother was in another country and this exact same thing happened. He went off to war. And so you see how it repeated itself in the generation after that in a different way. With the next generation, there was a husband that didn't come back. So that was kind of an example. So I see these things, and I just have really embraced this gift, and I share it with them. And sometimes it doesn't make sense and we don't need to confirm, but what we do is I allow that, we'll call it the spirit or the energy, to receive the healing. They show up for me to say, I want to kind of be let go of this energetically. And when that healing happens, it will work its way all the way to present day, which ultimately will prevent the child, this cuts that tie from the child experiencing the same trauma over again.
Oh, I can feel that healing. So people coming to you are dealing with they're dealing with something, and they're saying, hey, this pattern is repeating over and over. Anybody else in their audience where you just have a pattern and you're like, okay, where does this come from? Stephanie, I find your story to be very interesting, because you're talking about growing up, everything feels really good. Then you are acknowledging there's a pattern that you didn't know was going to start happening until you started dating, getting to know people, marriage, having children, and realizing your child, and realizing this is it at that time. And why I want to hone in on this gift is so that there may be people in our community right now that have some of these gifts or really need to come see you, but have these gifts right now, and it hasn't been awoken yet. So the question I wanted to ask you is, it sounds like you didn't know for sure that you had this gift at those times when these things were happening. Can you share that story, please?
Yes. As a child, there were certain things that I experienced that I was just like, oh, I must have been sleepwalking, or, whatever. My dad, funny story, we'll come back to this, asked me about this the other day. But I didn't know until after my accident, my family members started coming to me, and I had no idea what to do with it. And when when you start opening your gifts and opening these channels, and you're not sure how to work with them, they can potentially come in like a fire hose. And I was experiencing a lot of that. Everywhere I was going, there was some sort of message. I was experiencing something physically. There were a lot of just strange things happening in my world. So that's kind of when I started asking questions about what is this? When I was a child, I learned how to just make an excuse for it, we'll call it that, and just pack it away and move on, because, you know, nothing against my parents, we just didn't talk about stuff like that, right? It wasn't an open discussion, so it wasn't shamed on, but it was one of those things I didn't know anything, right?
And I can see, I'm sorry, Stephanie, I didn't mean to talk over you. I can see that with that layer of the shaming though, huh? Like you just know that if I keep going this route, that my family's like, oh, shut it down. And there's so much fear around that.
Yeah.
Can you express your experience in that? Because I know so many people that are spiritually awoken and they don't share it with a lot of people. And to get that alignment is the body healing, the be able to experience and be you. And I know you may even have a story around that where it's like, why don't we go there? When you decided you were going to come out and be you, how did you enter into the family in being more you? Not that I'm saying you may not be 100% you. I know that we're talking about it, but do you talk about like this in front of your family too? So there's kind of a playful question there for you.
Yeah.
If you want to divulge this information, it's going to help so many people.
Yeah.
And we're systemically working with shaming. Let's get there, my friend.
Absolutely. So in the beginning of this, I stuck with my spiritual group, right? My mentor who was helping me that I felt really drawn to. And I kind of started forming relationships in this very, I'm going to say a quiet community, right? And it's really interesting because I realized my biggest breakthroughs were actually allowing my family to see me for who I am. Because I always had it in my mind that they never understood me. I was a black sheep. They didn't get me. And I just always isolated myself and I kept it quiet. And it wasn't until I was experiencing horrible, horrible things in my life. And I completely gave it up to the universe, God, whoever. And I said, I can't see straight right now. I don't know where my block is. I don't know where, I got to break out of this. Please make the decision for me, right? Whatever needs to happen. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, my sister comes down and she's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't want you to be upset, but I told Dad about your mediumship. And I was like, what do you mean you told Dad? And ever since that took place, I have catapulted in my own healing capabilities. I have catapulted in my own experiences, because I realized that the biggest lesson and the biggest change for me was actually allowing my family to see me for who I truly am. And even recently, my dad, I love him. And if he's watching this for any reason, I'm saying this with so much love. We were just talking the other day and, he was kind of joking around like, oh, you had a call today. How was it? Ooh, hooky hocus pocus, and I kind of laughed at him and let it go. And I said, all right. And I heard him for the first time ask me, like, I have a question for you. And because I was telling him a story about somebody a long time ago confirming what I was telling them with a reading. And he said, have you always had this? And I told him about the first couple times as a child when I would see things happen before they would happen. And we just kind of left it at that. And I know that that's very small, but at the end of the day, he is opening up. And what my true work is in this family is allowing them to open up. I'm not trying to push it. I'm not pushing my beliefs on them. I'm very respectful of their boundaries. And I've learned it the hard way. I've been excited about spirituality and we can say, oh, we learned this and learn that. And we can freak people out. And then they shut their door, right? Because they're not ready. So I've
They'll shut the
learned,
door on you.
yeah, I've learned the hard way to like just read the room, you know, kind of find your safe space and just one thing at a time, and really lean on your community, lean on the women around you, lean on the men around you that are going to hold a safe space for you and to continue to build you up and continue to support you in your journey and peeling these layers, because this work, we'll call it the awakening, is not rainbows and butterflies and meditating on a on a cloud. There are dark places that you will go, and being able to have a support system, and like the women that I'm hearing today are incredible at, is important first and foremost. And you know, sometimes it really is just sharing and being transparent with your family. But I will have to say my biggest healing has really been allowing my parents to see me, and they've said, I don't get it, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to make them get it, but I finally feel at home because I am allowing them now to see me for who I am and the gifts that I have, instead of acting like a wounded child, instead of acting like, you know, somebody who has been in a lot of abusive relationships. I now am like, thank you, you know, and I feel
I'm
safe.
so happy. I'm so happy for you, Stephanie. And
Thank you.
I wanted to go back to your dad, because this is beautiful, is that I can hear that your dad sees you, and he can only devour, like eat so much of, but for him to ask a question like that, what a healing he's getting from you, because who knows if your mom or dad is carrying something that they are becoming aware of just by asking these questions. And for them to know what you're going through, I want to say, wow, I maybe I'm channeling some things here, but just like, I'm very proud of you. So it's kind of interesting that's coming to me saying it that way, but I'm very proud of you. So maybe there's something coming in right now. I actually am channeling something. I don't know who it is right now, but they're saying I'm very proud of you. And so just so you know that what your dad is doing, he's going through some really good stuff by asking you questions. And even though you don't always verbalize, because sometimes we don't need to verbalize, people understand when a calm person comes into this room. So the work that you are doing right now is, yeah, I mean, there's someone here. I just don't know who it is right now. And the work that you're doing right now is that you get to heal. Your kids get to see such a beautiful mama. And that the journey of being truthful to you, so that you get to show up 100%. And you don't always have to use your vocals to it.
Yeah.
You just get to be you. And this is the last part, Stephanie, is like, how do you feel about that? Like, what is your healing? How has this helped your relationships?
Can I swear on here?
Yeah.
It feels fucking good. It feels so good, you know. Obviously, like, I still have my own work, and that's the true beauty of healers and coaches and leaders, and we are always going to be paving that way. We're still always going to be evolving and diving into more and learning more about ourselves. So that will never stop for me, or anyone else here, I believe. But at the end of the day, it feels so good that I can comfortably say in my voice and in my solar plexus and in my power that I am here to help others, and I'm proud of it. And yes, it may be in a very alternative way, but that doesn't matter, because I'm blessed with the gift, and I'm going to do everything in my damn power to share it. And I'm not going to force it on anyone.
Stephanie, what alternative way? This is all, like, this is real stuff. Like, you're like,
Other than mainstream.
Yeah, but that is so beautiful. You saying that is because you are, I think you're just growing into this body flow of like knowing this is mainstream. We if it's not, I'm confused, because the thing is that we know that there's so much like quantum physics and like research on how the brain heals, even though they say, oh, that's just so woo woo, but there's more research going in on this when we get to see the body heal based on things that look like woo woo. So you keep going out there, woman, and you keep showing up and growing your business and knowing. You're talking even about like the connection of how how your business changed, how everything changed for you once you got to just be with your family and say, oops, sissy, why'd you tell dad that? You're like, oh, SOS, I'm gonna swear to, like, fucking name, my dad knows now. Like, and then your dad asks the question. There's probably a connection. What I'm feeling is there's a connection between you and your dad. There's something that's really there. So it's going to blossom and open up. And it doesn't always have to be words. Maybe he's not going to reveal anything. But I think he has your back bigger than you realize it, my friend. I feel that so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
This is the second or third time that we've been together. I think it's probably the second, because I got to be on your stuff. You are an amazing woman. I'm going to bring everybody back, everybody that was here today, because I feel this about everyone here right now. Everybody that's witnessing this in wherever platform you're going to see this at some point. But I want to bring this to you, Stephanie's. You keep showing up, being. Those words that you want to say, when you say them, allow, because you are mainstream. Maybe in some of the communities, maybe you just don't tell them that you're seeing something. And then unless somebody says something to you, oh yeah, you know what I do? Okay, I have some information for you. Because you can go into a room and just kind of, fire off stuff to people.
Yeah, no, I don't ever, I make sure it's only requested, and people have their boundaries. And if they're asking me, I will tell them, but I never share anything without actually being asked. So I thank you for saying that. Everybody has free will, right? If they want to hear something and be open to it. So it's all about permission.
This is mainstream, my friend. Do you know who was coming in? Who was I channeling? Anybody that you'd feel that would be saying that they're proud of you? Anybody current that?
Yes, my grandmother is very connected to my father, and even recently came through when I was with him, and I obviously did not share that with him because he didn't ask me, but she told me specifically, she's like, he's opening. And so when you said that, I could feel that as well. So thank you. And before I forget, I want to share with the audience, I sent you a little link. There's a free gift. I have a it's a throat chakra and a solar plexus chakra healing. And it's about our words and our thoughts and how incredibly powerful they are, and opening our inner power and using our self-expression in a safe way, but also taking a look and healing some of the ways that we've done it before that could have been either hurtful towards ourselves or hurtful towards other people, and allowing forgiveness and letting of that go to happen. And I admit to doing it myself, and the healing is so powerful. So I am going to give that to everyone here today as well.
Stephanie, in the chat here, you are able to put that link in here, and I actually have it. And I'll get the link also if I don't get to it before you do. Yeah, please do share. That's powerful, because with our gifts, what you're sharing is something that I really do want to support. And we're going to transition to the closing ceremony here. But when we have these gifts, what's so beautiful is you get to put your hand to your heart, breathe it in, and appreciate. Like, wow. There's times that I will say, oh, I need to close off for a moment. I'm getting overwhelmed. And I was like, please don't send me anything today. Like, I just need to take a breather, because we have these big awakenings that just happen. And I know that my personal gift also just keeps growing and growing. And I'm like, oh, just hold it a minute, hold it. And then I'll be shut off, until I ask for it again, because I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed. And it's our personal journey. Anybody out there feel this sometimes where you're starting to see things. Like I love what Stephanie is giving out there for you. You really want to get that, the free gift. And she just put the link there. And I'll make sure it gets over to other places too. But have you felt that where things are starting to happen and you get scared and you go, wow, I need to take a step back. I need to take a step back. So you may have noticed that that I channel some things, and it's a new gift for me, and I'm learning how I can feel things and energy, and so that's the beginning of how it's starting to happen for me. The other day, I want to share something, and then we're going to summarize this, and I'm going to send you off with so much love. In the morning, I start my morning, and I do it when it's dark. So it's about 4:30 or 5 in the morning. I'm outside. I live on this acreage. I call it the Fresh Inspiration Ranch because I'm infusing the energy of what, like all the energy here, what that means. Open my door and I go out and I see the sky and the stars. And that's when I'll be speaking different things. It's based on what I'm feeling, the downloads I'm getting, how my vibe is, how I woke up, things like that. And I was like, wow, this life is so beautiful. And I work on getting there every day. This life is so beautiful. And I'm like, and I can feel my higher being, like my higher spirit that is there. And I just say, I would like to meet you. Like, I know that I am you, you are me, but I would like to meet you. Like, I want to hear or have a conversation with you. So this last weekend, I was like in a higher space. I went to go see the Steve Miller Band. Of course, I mean, that's high space right there. What got me in the high space was the music, but also knowing that this man that I was seeing on stage, the Steve Miller Band, he's almost 80 years old. He ran off stage. He was playing for 2 hours nonstop. And I go, this being is incredible. And the way my husband explained it is that he just kept saying, man, this was a good concert. Man, this was a good concert. For me, I couldn't even verbalize what that meant. It brought me into this higher space of just not even being able to say words, just smiling and watching my husband vocalize it all. The next day, I wake up and we were at a hotel getting ready to transition to go back home. My hubby leaves me just for a moment. We're transitioning out of the place where we were eating. It was part of the hotel. Now, if you know me, I love red. Before I put my makeup on, I put the red on. And it just gets me going. So I turn around, and there's this woman smiling at me, and beautiful, beautiful skin, has her hair up in a bun and a red jacket. And I go, hi, how are you doing? I'm doing fabulous. So, well, I love your jacket. It is beautiful. Like, I love red. And she smiled, big smile, just like, but calming, grounded smile. She said, do you live around here? Having conversation. And I said, I saw Steve. Well, I answered that question, but I said, I saw the Steve Miller Band. I got to tell you, my friend, like, we have so much life to live. This is incredible. This man's almost 80. And I shared with her the story. And she looked at me and she just smiled and said, well, I'm 88. And at that moment, I knew I was talking to my higher spirit. Something special happened there, the red, and being able to share, these special things that were going on. And that's the first time something that big really came to me. And so what I want to give this umbrella through all the experts today. Keep listening. Whatever you feel is mainstream. Coming directly from what Stephanie said, mainstream. Keep opening your heart. When you feel that there's shaming coming on, you can't take care of that other person, because we can't tell somebody to change, because that's not going to happen when you tell somebody to do that. They're going to do their thing until they're ready to change, or they do. Please come back to yourself. Create a safe space for you so that you know that you're okay. Get into your community. Get some help if you need that help. Like, you can't back away from this person that's maybe abusing, as we were talking about with Teresa LaRue, people that are doing it silently or looking at you in a way that you're not okay, and you know in your heart that you're okay, that they're doing something. Keep coming back to your heart. Let's make this mainstream. Let's be speaker locking arms, which is my thing. Whatever your global vision is, I want to hear. Add it to the comments. Keep locking arms with those people that are love bugs, that see you, that support every step. And Stephanie said in a very interesting way, and I want to keep and hold that space, is that sometimes people, they support you, but they just don't know the words to say it, or like, oh, now that's enough. I've heard enough. Because when you open up your gifts and you start talking, not everybody can handle that, because they may be on a different plane, a different frequency, but they still love you. So hold those people in your life that are sharing that they love you, and they just may not be on the same page, but you know that they support you. Today we started with a beautiful meditation from Natasha. She was talking about your light. She was talking about healing your body. When we get done with this show in a few minutes, go back to the beginning, catch that meditation. I came in after her, and I came in as Rhonda Lou Moxie. That is my speaker name. I feel tenacious and in love when I get my red lipstick on. And I don't feel like Rhonda Liebig. Liebig is a beautiful name. It actually means love in German. Rhonda Lou Moxie came to me 3 years ago when I recognized that I was in a lot of pain and I had to level up more than what I was allowing myself to. And I had an awakening of, you either let things go and try and control things and let your body just keep. I had thyroid condition for 20 years. You let your thyroid just like stop it, or you open it up. And all of a sudden I knew the Moxie in me just started opening up. And the Lou became more of a spiritual thing. People called me Rhonda Lou. And that Rhonda Lou Moxie came in just for a few minutes, that spirit of just sharing, just in the soft sense of what shaming meant for me, and how we can really start looking at ourselves to say, you're crazy. Do not look at me like that again. And you don't always have to use words, because maybe it's not a safe space, but stop playing the game. Use these tools, and hopefully my words are not judgment that you feel. It's the love I have for you. Stop playing that game. Don't let anybody ever hurt you again. If this did something for you, like earlier we had somebody in here, and hopefully you're still here. She was sharing that this has given her transformation because of listening to everybody's vocals. So I appreciate you coming in and saying that. Then we had Teresa sharing about how she takes care of our fur babies. And she talked about domestic abuse. I have 2 doggies. My dogs are a higher spirit. All of our animals are. Let's start talking to our animals more. Let's start seeing them for who they are. And anybody you see abusing, Teresa's a great connection. She knows how to get stuff done if you need help when in that realm. She's very connected that way. She will get you to where you need to get to. I'm going to cry because this last show that I did was May. This September show is the latest show that I've been building up, this thing of like, what can we do in this world to stop the shaming happening? We can't stop those. So that means, how do we go to ourself and heal? So we bring ourselves up into a space that like, you're crazy. I'm not going to be with you. You don't treat me like that. And you start recognizing those gifts. Noreen went right in there speaking. And it's so funny because Noreen was saying, Noreen, I love you, Missy. She was saying, I hope I wasn't too academic. Are you serious? No, communicate in all different ways, my friend. I love you coming in and all this woo-woo around you, because you feel it too. And you even said a comment about that it's just, it's part of our life. And it's fabulous that you've been with these bigger companies, and it puts you in an academic kind of a vocal, but you're speaking the same language, my friend. And when you see that that there's people speaking different languages, it feels that way, you know for sure that you really are systemically, when you get into your heart and you stop judging. Find those people that may not speak like you, but you know you can see it in their eyes that I got your back. Camille, she decided to put stickies on herself so she could actually, I love the acting and the drama around what we do. She put that on to share that you take those stickies off you. You don't need to carry those. Shame, the other cousin, guilt, all those things that come on. I loved that expression, Camille. So I'm breathing this in, and I love you all. And this is what the show is about. Please come in next month and the month after and have an in-person event here for all speakers. And that's in December. If you want to know more about that, it's in Sacramento here. I want you to find your way here. You're going to fly, you're going to walk, you're going to crawl, you're going to get your butt here, because us speakers, when we start locking arms, we get involved, we get active. And I want to take on the energy of what Teresa LaRue is, that she's on an active space to help people heal that are feeling like they can't find that space. I want to take it a notch and support Teresa in this, because I don't work with people that, that are dealing with those things. And if I get to, I'm so happy that I get to. But I have those people that don't even know that they are dealing with things. And when we start getting into the coaching, they realize the reason why there's so many things of them not being able to build cash in their business, not being able to allow their body to heal. I want to come in and finish the show just to share that we are here to heal our body. If we start healing our body, then we're going to stop taking less medicine or no medicine. Think about where that money can be placed into other areas. When you start believing in you, and you don't just see your body as the only thing that's really rocking here, when you start seeing your spirit, and maybe when you were younger, and Stephanie was talking about generational stuff too, that you don't really see yourself and you don't believe that you can heal yourself. But have you ever had a day where everything was perfect? You just felt perfect. You just felt like you were on cloud 9, but let's put it up there, cloud 20 and plus. No pain in your body. Just that everything was perfect. Your gimp, or just like your ache in your shoulders, gone. That's what I'm about. Let's keep doing that. Everybody here, we're locking arms. All the energy we brought in, heal your body. Heal your vocals. Speak out there. Take the tools that you got from everybody, because they're all powerful and they were all individually unique. I appreciate you, Fresh Talks Global Vision community. I appreciate you, experts, coming in. I love you so much. And if you know me and you've been around this show, and if you can feel this, you know it's true. Have an insightful day. Let's catapult. We're ready to go. Let's rock it. Noreen, thank you.
Thank
Stephanie,
you.
I hear you. Things up Dave Matthews last month. Okay, I want to hear your story next time. Stephanie, let's get in the comments, everybody, the experts, and let's share some stories. Let's keep it live. Have an insightful day. Anybody want to, as we're leaving, you can say something, leave, or stay until I end, but let's finish this. Anybody want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to say, I was just very, very, Stephanie, yours was very, very interesting. I've always been a person that has a lot of curiosity, and I'm not afraid to explore. But I do want to say, in defense to people that don't, none of us really know everything about everything. And I think there is a fear and almost a shame, especially if you grew up with a religious background, around going outside of the boundaries. And so what you're doing kind of rubs against people's belief systems. And until I discovered that curiosity was my number one gift, I wouldn't give myself permission to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to say that to you, because the pushback sometimes is you're afraid that if you explore, things might not be the way you think they are.
Yeah.
So that brings up shame again around, oh, I thought I knew this and it's not that way. So are there other things in life that are not that way? So just, I appreciate what you shared and how you opened our eyes to greater possibilities, and just look forward to seeing your work grow in the world. And a lot of people that have been struggling. I was actually on a phone call before the summit with a family member who was crying about her relationship drama over the course of time. And she's well into her 60s. And she said to me, I just don't understand why I keep coming up against this. So just wanted to share that with you. And I didn't know about you at the time. So I'm going to share your
Yeah.
information with her.
Camille, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, my friend. Anybody else want to share? So we're closing off the show. I love us coming together because we've been, giving these. Thank you so much, Teresa and Noreen and Stephanie. Anybody else want to? Basking in the glow.
I enjoyed everybody's work and insights, and it is wonderful to come together and hear from each other, learn and grow together. So thank you, Rhonda, and thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Noreen. You're
I
welcome.
agree. I think that, well, now my tribe just got bigger. My community just got bigger with not only all the wonderful ladies up here, but also the community of all your viewers and listeners. So we're only as strong as that community. And now it just got stronger. How cool is that? I mean, that's just awesome. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, Stephanie, anything you want to finish off with, my friend? I know you're the last one, so maybe we got it all out.
No, I'm just kind of sitting in this and allowing it to integrate. Maybe that's what we need to share today, is for anyone listening. This is a lot. It's a lot to take in, and probably especially some of the things that I was saying for people that don't have that exposure. And thank you, Camille, for reminding us of that. I myself grew up Catholic, and I also grew up in a family that was not abusive. But little did I know, there was a long line of male abuse in the family, very long that I even knew. So, it doesn't have to be that way for everybody, but take a moment and allow yourself to digest this information. Maybe take the day to day and just lay on your couch. Go outside and ground yourself, put your bare feet on this earth and just plant and let all of these downloads and this information just move into every cell of your body. Because I'm telling you now that being present for this and listening to all these amazing speakers, something is going to change in your life, and something's going to start showing up for you, either an opportunity or a new mentor or a person, or like, hey, now I can, start researching this, or something is going to shift. And I am so excited for everyone here. And I'm just really incredibly grateful for this opportunity to share and speak and use my voice and use, tap into my internal power and be comfortable with who I am and continue to grow into that. So thank you, Rhonda,
You're welcome.
especially.
You're welcome. So that is Fresh Talks Global Vision. Keep using the hashtag Speaker Locking Arms. We're about 35,000 people viewing the videos that we're doing. And get connected, stay connected, and find your safety in this new information, because we came at all different angles, and maybe you're just being awoken now. I know when I first started hearing this stuff, I was like, no way, is that true? And it started becoming more true. So tiptoe in, or just go full quantum leaping into it. Enjoy your day. Love you, and go lay on your couch so you can disseminate or go touch some flowers or go for a walk. Love you. Namaste.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Teresa, Noreen, and Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Jason, Stephanie, and Rhonda. Ciao.